Hey, you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a pretty solid past week. Did a couple fun things. I got some fun story stuff I want to share, but I don't want to dive into that just yet because I think it would be rude to not introduce our guest first today.
Yeah, we have a guest this week from their own YouTube channel as well as Level Up Legacy. We have Retro Brandon. Brandon, how you doing?
Good. Glad to be here, guys. Yeah, Retro Brandon. You guys have had Slam on, so Slam is also from the Level Up Legacy podcast. We love these guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. I haven't had too. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I was going to say I haven't had too much going on. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and therefore a limited amount of time to play games. At least this last week with Thanksgiving coming, but this is the time of year where we like playing those games, getting the lights up, get a fireplace going. So I'm excited for the coming months.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving this week. This episode should be dropping on Thanksgiving. Um, and
Sweet.
yeah, yeah. And then now that we got you on, we're gonna get Mags next.
Yeah,
And
we haven't
that'll
had the chance
Let's
to meet
go.
yet because that was
yeah,
we met you and Slam at PAX, and Max joined
Yep.
you guys like I want to say the week after PAX. Like you guys got back, and
Yeah.
were
Oh
like,
yeah.
"We're adding another member."
Yeah. So we invited her on just kind of casually for an episode, and we had been talking about it. And man, she could probably tell this story, but she got so much crap for not coming to PAX. We kept just being like, so when are we gonna see you? You're gonna be there, right? And she's like, no guys, I can't come. And we're like, but we're gonna see you, right? So that we hassle that girl. She's great. We love Mags. You
uh,
guys are gonna have a Trails episode or something because
yeah,
she's the Trails master over there.
yeah. Funny enough, we're gonna talk about that in a second. But I actually knew her before I knew y'all. Just
Okay.
like not personally, but like
Sure.
on socials because she was like a big Trails person. And so it was cool where it's like, oh, okay, like when we met y'all at PAX, I was like, oh, these are the people that Mags does a podcast with. Cool. So that's so, and then you guys already knew the JRPG Pursuit crew, so we had that mutual
Yep.
connection there as well. But yeah, the vibes were great at PAX,
Yeah.
and we're like definitely got to get you all on at some point. And yeah, you just finished your first Trails game, right? With Trails first chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
listen
They
to the
were.
spoiler cast. Yeah,
Oh, you did.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. It's weird because so many people love Trails. They've gone all in and they have a perspective, the perspective of the series, like having had more experiences. So it's so interesting for me because I'm coming in with no background. This is just my experience with the one game. I don't know anything else about these characters yet. And there were some there were some people in the comments were like, boy, it's sure too bad that Brandon didn't like this game. And I was like, guys, I called this a 10 out of 10. What are you talking about? Like, I love this game. It's just that there were elements of the game that were different than other RPGs that I played. And so I'm just voicing my experience, right? Like this part was jarring to me, but then I got used to it, blah, blah, blah. And some people just immediately assumed that that meant, oh, he didn't really like it. I
Yeah,
loved it, but
yeah, it's
yeah,
interesting just because you know, I'm a big Trails guy. Like the first Trails is like my fifth favorite game of all time because it's kind of hard. You can't really have like one without the other, right? Because I do
sure.
think second chapter is the better game, but like
Yeah.
you can't. It's kind of a complete pair.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like all the same story, right?
yeah, and so when I played the demo, I told Kevin yeah, I knew that they were gonna go this action hybrid route, and I kind of prefer the old version of like the more traditional like turn-based aspect of it. But then
Mhm.
like once I played more of the game, once the full game come out, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is great. Like I had this like level of hesitation, so like, but it's still one of my favorite games ever. So you can like say things that are somewhat, critical, but still think the game's fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
We talk about that with
Yeah.
Persona 5 all the time on this
Yeah.
podcast.
yeah.
Um,
Well, that's just a
uh,
lost thing on like internet conversations in general, right? Like I feel like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
weird thing of like if you like a thing, it's like, oh no, like you if you truly love it, you will, sing nothing but its praises and never have a negative thing to say. It's like, no, if anything, the stuff I love, I'm gonna talk more crap about because
100%.
Yeah.
I see where it's like a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, and I'm just like, oh, here's the one thing. Like if we just fix this one thing, like that's even
Yeah.
higher tier now. Like, come on, like we're so
Well,
close
and
to
I
greatness.
I feel like a lot of the times what people miss is that when you are critiquing something, it's because you like some element so much that something doesn't quite work. Like a lot of times you'll be like, Fire Emblem Three Houses, one of my favorite games of all time, right? Um, the Edelgard path stops short and it feels like we missed something at the
Yeah.
end of that, right?
Right.
And I'm happy to say that, I'm happy to critique that, but it's because I wanted more of the story because I was enjoying myself so much I feel like it stopped too soon, right?
Right.
So it's I don't that's kind of how it was with Trails, where like one of my biggest, critiques, if you want to call it that, was it was jarring going from, like chapter one to chapter two, where you built up a full party and then you lose those party members and basically start over for half of the next chapter. And I was like, but my people, like I just got these guys and I was like vibing with them and this was great. And now they're gone and I have no idea when they're going to come back. And it took a long time before you get like a full party again. That that's not because the game is bad. It's because I enjoyed the characters so much that I was like, why did you take them from me, game?
Yeah. And you're
Like,
used to a certain structure that
Sure.
yeah.
just it changes, and change can be like, hey, what's going on?
Oh man, I
Yeah.
eat that up
Well,
every
and that's
time.
that's the thing with like other RPGs, right? Like other just about every other RPG I can think of, Final Fantasy or whatever. Once you have a full party, it kind of just like evolves from there. You don't typically lose something unless there's like a story beat where it's like a single character and it's for like some emotional impact, or like maybe there is a character that dies in a story or something like that, and so you lose them and kind of have to deal with that.
Or,
um
or you
that's
get
something I'm used to.
person two who's just like, hey, I use the same skill and moveset as person
Right,
one, but
right.
I'm a totally
Yeah, yeah,
separate,
yeah.
distinct character.
Yeah, I'm
Which is always a
different,
fun.
but
Yeah.
not really. Yeah, so in Trails, when it was like, okay, we have multiple instances of like losing characters until you start getting to the momentum at the end. It was like something I had to readjust my expectations because I just assumed it was going to be like every other RPG I played. It's not a bad thing. It's just I had an expectation shift, and when I say that, some people interpret that as he didn't like the game, and that's
Right.
not the same thing.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yep.
Yep. People on the internet be people on the internet.
I mean, yeah,
Before
it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Before we get into housekeeping, I want to talk about my weekend a little bit. Saw Wicked for good, and I feel like I'm one of the rare people on the internet that actually really liked it. A lot of people were very have been very hot on that film,
Right.
and to be clear, I do know that the second act of Wicked, is like notoriously weaker than the first act, and there's certain aspects to that as I can understand as to why. Like the first half is like a bunch of original stuff, and then the second half is basically like, hey, here's the Wizard of Oz, but from the perspective of the Wicked Witch. And I just feel like the things that people I've heard criticize about it, I'm like, what does that have to do with Elphaba and Glinda's story? Because it doesn't. It has like, it's like, oh, like, why don't we see more stuff with Dorothy? It's like, that's not relevant.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. Like there are certain like elements that did feel cut off short, like Bach, and his whole story, like that felt like that there could have been more there. Um, but like, oh well, like we should have saw more of the Cowardly Lion. Why? We learned why the Cowardly Lion is cowardly. That's all we need to know. Like I just it's kind of
Sure.
baffling to me. I'm just like I
Right.
just don't understand what people are looking for there. The music is weaker for sure overall. Like the list of songs, Ariana Grande acts her ass off. Like I genuinely think she should win the Oscar. Like last year she was like nominated and I didn't really get it, but like this one I feel like is her movie in a way that the first one wasn't.
Mm.
And I think that she really deserves it. Um, and then yeah, so I would say you should go watch Wicked for Good. And then football, the only sport I care about. Uh Kansas City
I can
football
never get
team.
away from it.
Well, like normally I don't mention it on this podcast, honestly, but our season was on the line this season. I am a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and
Okay.
for a lot of people, that's like, screw you for being great for 6 seasons. But
Hey,
we've
but you
had a
know what? It's not
really
the Patriots, so you're good, man. You're good.
exactly. We had a rough season, and the game, like our season was on the line. We were playing against like the 8-3 Colts. I was worried, y'all. I was worried. But thankfully we pulled it off in overtime. We won, so we're still alive. But I don't know. This is like the first season where I'm like, I don't know. We're third in our division. I don't know if we're gonna make it to the playoffs this year. If we do, it's gonna be seventh seed, and not saying that that counts us out, because I think we got to like, I think we were like fifth seed or something like that the year that we went into the Super Bowl, that one year, and then ended up winning. So cool. But boy, that was a big weight off my shoulders over the weekend with that game, and we play on Thanksgiving, so that'll be a fun Thanksgiving game to watch.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Slam and Mags are both big football fans. Slam's a Cowboys fan and Mags is
That's
a
who we're playing
Steelers
next.
fan. Yep. And yeah, so Slam's gonna be, he's gonna be dying over there, hoping that the Cowboys win. Listen, I know a lot of people who love sports, but I've always been that guy that's like, yeah, sports ball, let's go,
Yeah.
go Green Bay. Actually, I made that joke to Slam one time, and I
Oh, they're
didn't
rivals.
know. Yeah, I didn't know that they were actually playing and it wasn't going well, and so it was so funny because I was like, "Yeah, go Green Bay," just like a side comment, just being a butthead.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You researched to make that joke. You are trolling me." And I was like, what are you talking about?" Like I had no idea. Oh man, it was like the worst possible timing to make that joke. So, I don't say it as much anymore because I care about Slam, and I don't want him to be traumatized by my old Green Bay jokes because I just don't care.
Now, I know that
Yep.
we're already running along on this intro, Kevin. I'm sorry, but
Oh, you're good.
for those that don't know you, Brandon, can you
Sure.
give us like a few of your favorite JRPGs, maybe a hot take, or or like just like a particular stance that you have that
Mm.
you know
Make a
You're
statement.
worried about going along
make a statement.
on the
Yeah.
intro? Okay, so some favorite JRPGs of all time. I'm a massive Fire Emblem fan. Recently, I've really loved Three Houses. I put like 450 hours into that game, but like the classic original Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem game, I just ate that up when it came out, and that just made me a lifelong Fire Emblem fan. Love that game. Obviously, lots of retro games that I'm a big fan of. Big Chrono Trigger fan. Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my favorite games of all time. Big Final Fantasy fan. You can see a bunch of this stuff behind me if someone can squint and look at that. Big Persona fan. Slam and I kind of represent Persona 5 and 4. 4 Golden is my favorite Persona game of all
My
time, and his
man.
is 5.
My
Yeah.
man.
Love it, love it, love it, love
Yeah.
it.
Cam's the 4 fan on this podcast. I'm the 3 fan, and then we
Okay.
both mutually kind of talk crap about 5 in a loving way. We do love 5, but we also just talk crap a
Oh
little bit,
man,
which made the
yeah,
Slam guesting a very fun experience.
yeah, that was hilarious. I watched that episode. That was very funny. I also told Mags that I wouldn't talk crap on Final Fantasy 13 on this podcast, so I'll just say that in
I was gonna
passing.
ask you. I was gonna ask you. I was like, "Where's your stance? What's your stance on Final Fantasy 13?" I was gonna ask you.
Listen,
Um,
to be fair, I'm a little bit more neutral on 13. Like
mm,
I thought it was fine, but when it came out, I've told this story before. I played Lost Odyssey on the 360 and loved that game. And then I got 13, and I think what impacted me most was I was like, Lost Odyssey felt like Final Fantasy and 13 didn't. So I was like, 13 to me was a good RPG, but it didn't. It was the first time I was like, this doesn't quite feel like Final Fantasy to me, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it back then. So I think it's
Damn.
okay, um, but I don't love it. I don't hate it, and honestly, I would like them to do like a trilogy re-release so that I could take a crack at it again
Oh yeah.
without the shadow of Lost Odyssey and like see how I feel about it now.
My man. Yeah, that's
Okay.
where. Yeah, I'm on your
mean-
side on that one for the most part because I don't hate on 13. I'll sometimes be a little extra hatey on it just to like provoke Cam because it's funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I'm mostly in the camp of like I think 13's overhated. I don't love it either. I'm not going to put it very high on my personal ranking of like the main line, but like I do think it's overhated.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll take that.
Sorry, Cam.
I'll take that. No, I'll take that.
Okay.
No, saying that it's overhated, it to me is basically saying that yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's good, solid. Yeah, I'm cool
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I'll
I have
take
my
that.
problems with it.
I,
but,
I,
like,
the it doesn't feel like Final Fantasy take. That's wild. That's something I disagree with you on. But everything else you said, I'm cool with it.
What was
I'm cool
Cam?
with it.
What was the first Final Fantasy game you ever played?
7. 7 was my first.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I've found that people who see Final Fantasy 13 as being a very Final Fantasy game, typically in my experience, like they started either at 13 or right around 13. So like that was like core to their Final Fantasy experience.
Sure.
And for me, I came in late. 8 was actually my first Final Fantasy, but then I like binge played all of them. And then 12 was my first new Final Fantasy game. And then there was 13. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It just like it felt different enough. And again, the Shadow of Lost Odyssey, I don't think I can overstate that. Like Lost Odyssey felt like this is what Final Fantasy would have been had Sakaguchi stayed at Square Enix.
Yeah. I haven't played it myself. It's like near the top of my JRPG like playlist. But I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
Question for you because it helps me and it also brings a bit more perspective. How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, because I'm 31. So
Okay.
like I do think that because I think as the podcast came along, like went along, me and Kevin realized, oh, there's actually pretty sizable gap between like our age where it's affected kind of like where we really started in
Are you
gaming
calling
in a
Kev an
real way.
old man?
I mean,
right
I
now?
am
Is that
relatively
what's
No.
happening?
him. Yeah. Well, I mean, really, the way to think about it honestly is that we have, I think, what, a 7-year age gap, 7 or 6, and that
Yeah.
is approximately a system generation,
Yeah.
Sure.
really.
Yep.
And so that like
'Cause-
the kind of pivotal major systems, and when you experience them at a certain age, like we're one shifted over, you know.
Yeah,
Totally.
and I just kind of noticed, like, as I've gotten to know more people in the JRPG YouTube community, I'm like, oh, I'm like the youngest out of all of y'all. And
A lot of golden
and
era
so
folks.
when people are talking about certain things, I'm just like, oh, I just missed that. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I had
Sure.
I had a Super Nintendo, but I was too young to really know like, oh, this is the game to get. This is the game to get. It was really the Game Boy and the
Yeah.
Game Boy Color that really where I was like, I got to get this game. I got to get this game. That type of deal. So like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Just wanted to figure that out to get perspective. I'm like, because when you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I think he's like closer to Kevin's age than my age, because I'm getting a similar vibe, which is okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things where I was just curious.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah, I
encounter
mean
that.
to be Go ahead. Sorry, what?
Oh, no, I was just saying we do encounter that in this space fairly often because I've been
Oh, yeah,
around for
yeah.
our conversations with folks, and then Cam being like, "Okay, wait, how old is this person?" Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say to be fair, like I had the Super Nintendo. I played the Nintendo at like a babysitter's house. The Super Nintendo was the first console I had. And I didn't know about RPGs until much later, and it was because
Okay.
of like GameStop back at the or Funkoland. If anybody remembers what Funkoland
yeah.
is, like
And
I would go
Babbage's?
there and be like, oh yeah, like they have cheap Super Nintendo games, and now that I know what this is, I can get that and play it. So I kind of did like you know, I don't know what's going on, and then I went backwards and played some of the older games. So yeah, I feel like it does depend on the journey, but age definitely can be an indicator for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
and the reason I brought that up was because of the Final Fantasy question.
Yeah.
Because like for me, a little bit of my gaming background was like I grew up playing a lot of like JRPGs and things like that, but I definitely had this era where I was like very much into like FPSs and like
Sure.
uh the 360 generation, right? Like
Yep.
that was like a big, it was like PS2 and Xbox 360. So like PS2 was a lot of like first party, first person single player experiences. Like I played Final Fantasy X. Um Honestly don't remember a whole lot. I need to go back and play that game. And like Kingdom Hearts, of course, is like,
Oh yeah.
that's my bread and butter.
Shout outs. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And then like I got to the 360, and that's when I like really just like didn't play a whole lot of JRPGs outside of Final Fantasy 13. Like that was like the big one I
Oh,
played.
that's interesting. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
bought the 360 because of the JRPGs.
Yep.
Like
That brief
when the
window.
when the PS3 came out, it was stupidly expensive and they didn't really have a lot going on in the beginning, although I've come to find out we had things like folklore and stuff like that that was pretty cool, but I didn't really know what that was. And then I remember getting those Game Informer magazines where they were like, "Hey, you know the Final Fantasy guys? Well, they're making 360 games." And I was like, "Excuse me, what?" So I actually bought Lost Odyssey before I had a 360, and a friend of mine, shout outs to Renee if he happens to be watching this, he let me borrow his 360 so I could play the game. And I got so obsessed with Lost Odyssey that I like found a way to get money. Like I work with my dad and all these other ways to get money, and I bought a 360. Mom wasn't very happy about that because that should have gone to college. But you know what? It is what it is. And then there was like Blue Dragon and Infinite Undiscovery, and like all of these games like kept coming.
Eternal Sonata.
So yeah, Eternal Sonata. Oh yeah, I loved that game. So like I loved Halo. So played Halo on the 360, but I actually bought the 360 because they have JRPGs. And honestly, like I'm pretty grumpy about modern Xbox. Don't get me started on that, or this will be an extremely long podcast. But one of the reasons I'm so grumpy about modern day Xbox is because after the 360, the direction they went was just not the reason I bought into the 360. So like I think very
You
highly
don't
of
have
the
to tell me,
360
dog.
era. Yeah, but
I'm still a
where we
primary
are
Xbox
now.
player.
Oh
You're
Yeah.
yeah.
going through it. Yep. Yeah, no, it is
Yep.
very funny how because there's always the rhetoric of like like JRPG people don't play Xbox and like I understand why that like gets thrown around a lot today, but it is very funny to have that context with the idea that like there was a time where like early 360 that was the system to have for JRPGs. Like
Yep.
most of them ended up getting ported to the PS3 near the end of the life cycle. Like Star Ocean got re-released, Eternal Sonata got re-released,
Yeah.
and those
Sure.
are
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
like the more definitive versions because they added stuff. But
Yeah.
for a time, it was like no, if you wanted to play exclusive JRPGs, like 360 was where you did that. They
Yeah.
didn't do a lot of
And
multi-plat yet.
not all of them were ported over. Like I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, Infinite Undiscovery,
Yep.
and I think the Last Remnant stayed on the 360. And the
Last
Last
Remnant
Remnant
did go multi-plat.
did it.
Well,
Okay.
in the
Well, I know it.
remaster
I know it is
or
now.
at that time? Because
I
like
don't remember it going to the
Vesperia never went
PS3.
to PS3. It was
Yeah,
when
and
it did the
Vesperia. Yep.
remaster.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah,
Yep.
okay. The original release was just 360. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
Windows.
Yeah, yeah.
It did have a PC release, but that was awkward.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. But I remember that like killing people's PCs or something like that. So
It was a
yeah.
very buggy release that had problems.
Yeah. Yeah. So back then, like the 360 just had this. It wasn't a massive library, but like they were strong RPGs for RPG fans.
Yeah,
Plus they had other games that you can get into. So during that era, like the only reason I bought a PS3 was because Final Fantasy 13 came out. Um, Before Final Fantasy 13 came out, I was like, I'm happy with my Xbox. Like I don't even want a PS3.
I think I
Um,
played 13 on Xbox, to be honest. Like I think I just stuck with it.
Yeah. Well, I think did 13 come out later on the 360? Wasn't it like PS3 first?
It might have been, but I think I still played it on 360 initially.
Sure. Yeah, I know they came out on the 360, which
No, it
I
was
was kicking myself for that. But
it was simultaneous in the US. It was delayed in Japan, but it
oh,
was
okay.
simultaneous release in the US.
Okay. Well, maybe I was just looking for an excuse to buy a PS3
Yeah.
then, and that happened to be it.
Yeah, no, Metal Gear Solid
Yeah.
4 was mine. That was why I finally got one. I was like, oh, MGS4, gotta support the Kojima.
Yeah. That was just a weird experience though, because the PS2 was so freaking strong for RPGs. Like
Yeah.
that era where it's like, am I considering not getting a PS3? Like what's happening right now was just really weird.
Yeah, I mean that era in general was kind of weird for the genre. Like You know, we
Yeah,
talk about 360
totally.
having kind of a strong run relatively, but it's like you look at those games in a pile alone. Not to say that they aren't good, but it's like not the strongest lineup if you put that against
Yeah.
like PS2, SNES, PS1,
Yep.
etc. Like
Yep.
it was kind of a weird time.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna get into housekeeping now. uh, and yeah. If you've been enjoying the show, please go to your podcast service of choice. Hit the 5-star review over there. Really helps us a lot. Also, please go to youtube.com/@partychatjrpgpod and hit the subscribe button over there. We are, as of recording, we're 6 away. We're 6 away from 500 subscribers.
Let's go.
I need y'all to stop what you're doing. Go to youtube.com/partychatjrpgpod. Hit the subscribe button if you're an audio only listener. Because once we hit 500, we get new like abilities to do different things that we would like to use for the video version, which we would really appreciate. If not, you will hear a 6'4" black man cry on the next episode of the podcast. I don't think y'all want that.
Don't tempt them, Cam.
Kevin got to go hands-on with Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. We do have a preview of that up on YouTube and podcast services right now. And go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson. Hit the subscribe button over there as we're trying to get him to 1 million subscribers before the end of 2025. Lastly, go to youtube.com/@RetroBrandon, as well as youtube.com/LevelUpLegacyPodcast. And hit the subscribe buttons over there and give Brandon and the crew all the love there. Pretty light news week this week, but there's a few things to go over. The big one being regarding Katsuro Hashino saying some interesting things during a video game conference out in Korea, I believe. It was during G-Con 2025, and this was all reported by 4Gamer, which is a Japanese outlet. So like rough Google Translate, y'all, just to be fair warning. I'm gonna like kind of read through the article here because there's like a few things that like he discusses that I think is interesting. Like some things that are worth like looking into is that we got like some early concept art for like Persona 3 and Persona 4 and Persona 5, which was cool. But particularly what we want to talk about is how he's kind of coined the term JRPG 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and what that really means. And so first off, which I think is really cool that I do want to go over, is that he talks about how there was a consistent flow throughout regarding the tarot cards, and how the tarot cards from 13 to 20 each can represent one of the Persona or Catherine or Metaphor, like Studio Zero titles. Death being Persona 3, Temperance being Persona 4, the Devil and Tower being Catherine, the Star being Persona 5, and then the Sun, the Moon, Sun, and Judgment tarots representing Metaphor, which I think is really cool. And he said that that was not intended. It was just completely a coincidence that is the case.
Yeah, these classic storytelling devices tie into stories they made later, and it's like, oh, this actually does work out in a nice way.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically he talks about how JRPG 1.0 is the classic style. JRPG 2.0 is the modern style where everything is improved in quality and responsiveness.
Yeah,
he said, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've seen that quote going around, and I'm very curious. Because he doesn't actually give specific examples, right? That's just kind of the statement that's been taken from the interview. I'm very curious what he defines as like what game does that second gen start at? Like what in his mind is like the more responsive? Like, is he talking about specifically like the visual overhaul style that started with like Persona 5? Is he talking about a game that's outside of things he's worked on? I'm just very curious what like I know he gave definitions of generation like 1 and 2 in his head, but I'm like, okay, but what are those actual games? Because the idea of like, oh, like, improved performance and responsive, it's like that's happened a couple times. Like, what do we where are we drawing that line right
Yeah.
now? Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
1.0 sounds like, I don't know, it could be like Super Nintendo RPGs, but
Sure.
like 2.0 would span what? Getting into the 3D era, and like 3D and HD can be so different in many ways with the RPGs. Like, where's the line here? What does that mean? What is he, I guess in his mind, like what is he prioritizing to define the difference between these two?
Sure.
I have a lot of questions with
And
that.
what the third would
Yeah.
be by comparison then. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Right.
I mean, like, I feel like there's I feel like based off what he's kind of saying, we're already in 3.0. Like, I feel like Persona 5 was the start of 3.0. And then I would argue, but like, and then I would argue that it would probably be like what Final Fantasy X that started 2.0. But if you're not
God,
saying that,
it's hard
then
to
like,
say.
And even
because
then,
like,
like you can kind of be like 7 is kind of 2.0, right? Like coming from
Right, going
like
from 6 to 7.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
entering the 3D era and like I don't know, it's just a very
that's also
nebulous.
fair.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, right? Like it's just such a nebulous concept that I'm like I understand this is him just kind of spitballing in an interview, and it's like
Yeah.
I understand why this word comes out this way, but it just makes me more curious about like what's going on in his head as far as like
Yeah.
what are these harder definitions in your head and what really, because that brings into the idea then like, oh, if he wants to create 3.0 or whatever, like what does that actually mean in relation to what we've had
Right,
so far,
right.
it's kind of
Like
a
you can't,
nebulous
if you
thing.
don't have a strong definition for 1.0 and 2.0, then what are you improving on to get to 3.0, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And
yeah.
like, and this is just like a reported, like, this isn't like a quote unquote what he said. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is like a generalization of like kind of what he was saying.
Mm.
Um, and so, yeah, we really don't know. Like, and to me, like, again, I think that there are certain titles that you could argue that historically, like, had a major effect that, like, made it feel like that there was a push in the genre, right? But that doesn't mean that it's particularly like JRPG 2.0, 3.0, what have you.
Yeah.
That's why I was like thinking
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like maybe like Final Fantasy X, but like Final
Sure.
Fantasy 7 also makes a lot of sense. And then like again, just like kind of based off of like what a JRPG is or what it can be, like I would argue Final Fantasy 13 made an impact that way. I still like think that game looks incredible, and I still think that like, and that was like the first JRPG probably since 7 where I was like, this is what a JRPG can be, like in the sense of scope and like
Mhm.
presentation and like things like that. And so there's just so many like ways that this can be looked at and
Yeah.
dissected that I just like wish that he gave a more definitive like example. But I also know that he didn't want to like make the JRPG community go feral and it's like, you don't know what you're talking
That
about. This is
never
the game that
happens.
started
What are you talking
JRPG
about?
I
2.0.
mean, we're only belaboring this like talk this much on how vague he did go, So imagine.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. I guess like I just don't know like what 3.0 looks like.
Yeah.
And like what he because another thing that you put into perspective, and we talked about this last or 2 weeks ago with Slam, is like I I love Studio Zero, but they definitely have a certain like design philosophy that if he wants to like kind of evolve into JRPG 3.0, I think he needs to make some substantial changes
Hmm.
to like a future. It doesn't have to particularly be Persona, but like future Studio Zero games, JRPGs at the very least. Because like one of my like issues with Metaphor was like I don't think it really needed the calendar system, and I think that they could have done some. They could have redesigned it in a
Sure.
way where you didn't really need that. Um, and I think that that would have made it have a little bit more of an identity than like, oh, this is Persona
A
but
fantasy.
fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Yeah,
I feel like probably the most fair way to interpret what he's saying is to assume JRPG 1 and 2 and 3.0 are in relation to their games that they talk about in the article versus like the genre as a whole.
Mhm.
Um, it's hard to say because we're using Google Translate, right? But I could make sense out of being like, okay, there is definitely a difference between like what Atlas produced before, let's say, Persona 3, and then Persona 3 kicked off this sort of new era. Persona 4 evolved that. Persona 5 then sort of kicked off this like, whoa, we're taking this in a much different direction where they're adding a bunch of things, they're changing a bunch of things. And we see a lot of that in the games that they've produced so far, but maybe Persona 6 or whatever is going to be, to your point, Cam, like reinventing how they produce some of these games to sort of take it into a new era. Um, but again, I'm still left with, okay, but like, what specifically are you talking about? There's like nothing to actually work with here until they give us something to work with, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
It
the thing about this article. It's like that sounds great, but it means nothing until we actually see what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. I kind of going with what Cam said, right? Like, I think he is intentionally being a bit vague about it. Again,
Sure.
I think this is the kind of thing where it's like, man said some stuff in an interview, and there might be like a true meaning here that like is going to be shown someday, and it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, I see what this vision is now. Um, but it was absolutely a just like, I'm going to answer this question and kind of keep things moving, and I just don't think it in and of itself, it's kind of just like, yep, want to make cool shit. Like, it's just, yeah, like what are
Right.
we actually talking about here? Yeah.
Cooler than
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a small-ish kind of update on the Steam machine, specifically its pricing.
Oh yeah.
Uh, the Linus Tech Tips guy or YouTube channel, I don't know the specifics.
It was him
Said
specifically
that
for this, I think, but yeah.
said that it seems like that the Steam machine's not going to be priced like a console around the like
Yeah.
$500
Yeah.
range.
Sure.
When he asked Valve, he basically nobody said anything, and the energy in the room wasn't great. Kind of like alluding that it's probably going to be a much more expensive device than I think people would hope
Mm,
for.
So there actually has been an official update on this.
Okay,
Kind of.
cool.
I mean, it's still vague, but so I believe it was on the Friends Per Second podcast. They actually had some of Valve's team available for an interview, and they tackled this question. And the official response from Valve is that uh, they are ultimately approaching this as a pre-built PC. Um, like sure, there's that smaller form factor, and like you can equate how SteamOS brings a slightly more console style experience. But they are ultimately approaching that this is going to be a pre-built PC configuration targeting PC style pricing and a marketing. So it might still be like a better value compared to like some other pre-built options. But this is not going to be like a console situation where they're subsidizing it and taking a loss on individual units because that many people are going to now be buying stuff on the Steam store. This thing's going to be like minimum $800. Like this is not going to be a
Yeah.
$500 situation. I've seen some folks be a bit more down on it, being like, "Oh, like this thing's going to be like a grand easy." I I I personally think it's going to be like 8 and a grand, like respectively for the different sizes. But this is all guessing still because they did not give an actual hard figure. They basically just they definitely made it a point to dispel the idea that they're going to do like a console level aggressive like competitive price point. They're not aiming for that.
sure.
It is
Yeah.
a PC.
Yeah, I don't know
I
how I
mean, it
feel about
is.
that.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is a
It
PC.
is,
Like you
yeah.
can use it as a PC. It's Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it either, to be honest. Like I was excited about it because right now I'm using the dock for my Steam Deck and it's not great. Um they've done some improvements and things, but
Sure.
the Steam Deck is great for like handheld. But I don't know. I had a PC that I bought for gaming and I tried using it for other things and I just realized For other things like video editing and stuff, I would just prefer a Mac. And if I get a PC, I really do just want it for games.
Yeah.
So there's still something to be said about a PC that may have competitive pricing in the PC market that is specifically tailored for gaming, right?
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, that's that's the kind of PC I would want to buy anyway. And if I have the experience of I can plug this into my TV, treat it like a console, and then if I want to
Hmm.
go somewhere, I have a Steam Deck. Like I'd say overall the pricing is, if you consider the fact that just getting the TV to handheld experience, which is what the Switch does for way, way, way cheaper, the price might seem a little ridiculous if you'd make that comparison. But the fact that both of them can also act as a PC,
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. There's still an argument to be made there.
Yeah. They do also they in the same interview they brought up some arguments about like unique features to the Steam machine compared to pre-built PCs that like bridge the gap to a console experience more so that you can't necessarily put as easy of a price tag on, where it's like
Sure.
I always forget the abbreviation for this, but it's going to have the support where when you turn it on, it'll turn on your TV. Like the HDMI style connection is going to have that thing,
Yep.
which like pre-built PCs cannot do. Like that's just not a thing that you're going to get out of the box with a PC.
Right.
And having things like, oh, you can also turn the system on using the Steam Machine controller, and like that's not a thing you're going to get out of a pre-built PC with like whatever controller you buy. And so there's a lot of like living room experience, like quality of life, like convenience things that are very cool. But again, it is just such a very specific niche market. It's like you got to be someone who wants kind of a console style experience, but you're willing to pay PC level pricing, and you don't care about having a more powerful PC when you're getting into that territory. It's a very it's a niche item. I don't think it's gonna like flop or anything. Some people are taking it immediately like, oh, this thing's DOA because blah blah. I don't think that's the
Yeah,
case
I've seen
either.
that. I've seen
I,
some of
I
that.
think I
Yeah.
think Valve has an idea of what they want this to sell. And look, at the end of the day, we talk about how successful Steam Deck is. Steam Deck has nothing on Switch numbers. Like it's still like PC handhelds in general are a market that are nowhere near the kind of popularity and acceptance as like regular consoles are. And I think Valve very acutely aware of that. I think it's also why they aren't subsidizing it, because it's like they don't need to. They're already the number one PC platform. It's not like selling a Steam machine is going to convince more people to swap over to buying their games on Steam. They already
Right.
are.
Right.
Like
Steam is like the de facto. If something is on PC, that means Steam. It's like the same thing now,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's raised some interesting questions for me. The pricing may make this a nothing burger,
Yeah.
but I thought about like the direction that Xbox is going in. And again, I'll try not to go too far on this because I am a little bit grumpy about the direction of Xbox. But because they're pushing so heavily into the services model and the digital model, and they're getting away from what made them a distinct console to begin with, it is kind of interesting to consider what the future could hold for some of these companies competing because like a Steam Deck and a Steam machine can run Xbox services on it, right? If you just go over to the Linux mode and then you get it all booted up, like you can get it to work. Um, and Steam has a very, very, very powerful hold on the PC market. Like we literally just said, if you say something's on PC, that means Steam. It's synonymous.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just interesting because it feels like Xbox is pushing for this model, but if they get to a place where they're trying to directly compete with Steam as their main service model, I don't think that's going to go well for them. So it's just I don't know, like I can't speak for the minds at Xbox and why they think the direction they're going is a good idea, but purposely stepping away from a distinct Xbox identity with a distinct console feels like they're going in a direction that could really screw them over in the future if Steam really like picks up their game and starts trying to push this stuff more.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is like SteamOS just needs to open up a little bit more, because like as much as I do like SteamOS as a user experience, it's tough to view it as like a complete replacement for a PC.
Sure.
Because for all the problems I have with Windows and how much I can't wait to get an alternative OS that I feel comfortable with to like leap to, SteamOS is just a hard sell for some folks still, because it's like there's some games you just cannot run on it. Doesn't matter. Like if you are excited for 2XKO, that's not going to run on a SteamOS, because SteamOS does not play nice with any kind of game that has any degree of like aggressive anti-cheat. And that rules out any kind of Riot game right now. It rules out a lot of multiplayer dedicated games because it just won't work with it. If you want to use any other launchers for specific reasons, whatever, like maybe there's a couple games you like that you have on the Epic Store, or there's Xbox Play
What you
Anywhere
got for
titles.
free?
Yeah, or there's Xbox Play Anywhere titles that you own that you want to be able to like run there as well. It's like those are all limitations that are still very real right now, and it's like, man, if they opened up SteamOS to like just installing yourself on other PCs, I would be very tempted right now. But there's enough things that are just like, maybe not yet. Like maybe just not yet. Because I'm the same group as you, Brandon. Like I do all my productivity on Mac. I don't really need PC for anything other than games. That's what I want it for. And so
yeah.
Get rid of
Yeah,
Copilot.
for me, it's just interesting because it's a trajectory thing, right? I'm not saying that Xbox will get eaten up by Steam right now, but the direction that these companies are going is very interesting, and I feel like the next 10 years could have a shakeup in the gaming industry that people aren't necessarily expecting right now, depending on how these companies sort of, continue with their strategic offerings. So, yeah, it's really interesting. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I ultimately I'm probably just gonna skip out on the Steam machine now.
Yeah.
Like
Out of
last week.
curiosity, just real quick.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Out of curiosity, Cam, like what would be the price cutoff for you? Like for someone who is coming from that sort of like traditional console mindset, and you're interested in Steam Machine and concept, but you don't like the idea of PC pricing. Like what's the number that's going to make you say, nah, never mind?
It's tough. I guess it'd probably be around whatever the PS5 Pro is priced at right now. And that's like whatever I'm talking about, like I would want the higher storage version of the Steam machine.
Right.
Because the thing is like, even though because this device, Brandon, very much fits for me because I don't really like to play games on PC. I like the couch experience. I like the big TV, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
And so like this felt, when it was announced, like, oh, this feels like it was made for me because there's enough games on Steam that are only on Steam. They're not on consoles, that I'm like, okay, I could see myself like buying this so I can play these games on my couch. But also, like, when I say just enough positively, I also mean that negatively, in the way of like there's not a whole lot, and when it's going to be priced $800 to $1,000, to me that's just not enough, right? Like it's kind of the same mentality as the PS5 Pro. It's just like, I want a PS5 Pro, but also like knowing that there hasn't the PS5 generation has been, like, in my opinion, pretty weak.
Yeah.
When it comes
I
to,
agree.
and then the Pro, there's not a whole lot of games that have the Pro patches. So it's just like, what really is the point of me upgrading to the PS5 Pro?
Yeah.
That's the same mentality I have with the Steam machine. It's just like, when I only have so many games to play on it, I'm not really wanting to drop at minimum $800, maximum $1,000 to get it. I would rather just upgrade my PC so that I don't, which I already talked about on the pod before, like doing a significant upgrade on my PC, one that will hopefully like get me by for the next 10 years, and then just play on my PC. I'd rather not do it that way, but like,
Yeah.
it would be the most like bang for my buck at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, we're in an interesting era because we've kind of hit the wall, I feel like, on some of this hardware where uh I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, I guess, but certainly for me, if you can give me a game that doesn't look that fantastic but runs fine and is a good experience, like at the end of the day I'm not going to care as much. And so like to your PS5 point, you know like the PS5 Pro has been tempting for me too, especially with Black Friday sales. But it's like, if I got this, would I actually bet? Like, am I literally just giving them, $700 to maybe have one or two better games when they run just fine on my PS5 right now? Like, I'm having no problems on my PS5.
Yeah.
The same thing with the Steam machine, where it's like, hey, my Steam Deck right now, I love it in concept, but I probably play that thing like maybe once every few months. I'm very rarely using it. I'm usually on my Switch and my PS5, right? Or Switch 2, I guess. Because of what they offer and the availability and those kinds of things. So yeah, it is interesting. Like even for Sony, I'm like Sony might have a rude awakening if they continue really pushing like hardware without value, because yeah, it's great that you can come up with a really beefy, let's say they come out with a PS6 and it can do all these cool things. Great, but like if the generation is as weak as it's been on the PS5, like I am no longer in a position where I have any desire to go day one on PS6 whenever that comes with whatever they have, because I'm like, you guys have totally lost my trust in your ability to deliver the experience that makes that valuable for me, whatever the price point is, right? If it's an $800 console, but you're coming out with all these flagship RPGs, I'm going to be like, okay, I'll consider it, right? Even though that's a stupid price, like at least there's value behind it. And a lot of what we're seeing now is like, hey, we can give you some really cool hardware. You may
Yeah.
never use it because there's no other value, but it could in theory be really great.
It's
And it's just weird.
Yeah, I think we're in a situation where PS5 has been able to rely on the comfort of being the kind of de facto choice for a lot of people, just because Xbox's image has been what it has been the last decade. And while Switch was a huge success, there were a lot of games that just the Switch couldn't run, and so PS5 relied a lot on being kind of just like I say this a lot when I talk about this past generation. The first party offerings have been weird and slow and not great. There's been some really good ones. I don't want to be just like, oh, every first party game is whatever.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
there's been some good
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah.
but it's like 2 a year, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
and yeah, meanwhile, I think third party's been killing it. Like, I think a lot of the third party offerings this past generation are incredible, and that's part of the reason
Yep.
why people get a lot of use out of their PS5 is because they're playing all these big third party multi-platform releases. But we're hitting a point where, especially with a generational shift, where a lot of younger gamers aren't really into the console style setup, that it's hitting the point where it's like, well, if all this is on PC, why don't I just get a PC? Like, why don't I just go that route?
Yep.
Like, console as a concept is something that's been really kept alive primarily by older generations of gamers that grew up in that kind of concept. And they enjoyed the idea of just like, I buy it, I hook it up, I put the game in, we're good to go. Like, I don't need to mess
Which
with
isn't
anything
even
else
it's not even the experience anymore,
anymore.
right?
Yeah,
Like now
exactly.
it's I buy it, I hook it up, I connect to the internet, I have to set up my account, I got to set up accounts for
Yeah.
my kids, and now it's super
The,
complicated and I have to find codes, and then I put the game in and it takes 2 hours to download before I can actually
yeah.
play it, and I'm angry.
Exactly. The line between PCs and consoles has blurred
Oh,
so much that the best argument for console nowadays is just, oh, you're getting a pretty good like power level for the value you're
for the
paying,
price.
but that's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. And you're getting a lot of restrictions that come with that as well. Um, and we'll see. Like, I mean, there's rumor of PlayStation maybe backing out of porting as many of their games to PC as they began to, and maybe they try to push exclusivity aspect there. But even then, they got to start bringing more of them, like you were saying. Like, you know, it it takes more than one release for me to like. Well, then again, I did buy a PS3 specifically because Metal Gear Solid 4, but it's still, it takes you
That
got to
was a
put in
Then
that
different
more
time,
value.
though.
we
That was
had
that was a
Yes,
yeah,
different
and that was a
time.
we
different
had
time. Yeah,
trust.
yeah,
Yeah, we had trust that like we just came off the PS2 era, right? So it's like
yeah.
I can
Mhm.
go in on a console for one game because I expect that I'm going to be getting a similar experience.
Yeah,
Now it's like if you show me a PS6, I have no trust whatsoever that you're going to give me the kind of value that I need to buy this day one. Like
sure.
even if you show me a game that I'm excited about, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't help
And I
that.
don't even trust it's going to stay there, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, and just the diminishing returns on like the improvement of graphics processing. It's like there's just only so much more we're going to get into. And the thing is, I
exactly.
know the like tech side of gaming really loves pushing all the like new advanced stuff that people are getting excited about. The vast majority of regular consumers do not notice and ultimately don't really care, other than if they buy into the hype of everyone selling it to them. Like ray tracing, so many people do not actually even like notice it. For folks that are
Right.
like just regular consumers, like I absolutely understand the value in ray tracing and why it's an impressive technology, why it's cool, but it is so hard to make an actual sizable population amount care. And like ultimately we're just hitting a point where it's like you can keep telling me how cool your graphics tech is, but like why is it costing me this much more when I see this game that to me looks just as good and runs better? Like it just
Yeah. Or
yeah.
like, hey, I really love playing Stardew Valley, and it
Yeah.
looks nothing like any of these
Oh,
other games that need all of this high tech, right?
yeah.
Like that's kind of my point. I'm like, we're just I guess Nintendo kind of had this philosophy before, and I think they were right. Now I'm not necessarily happy with the key card situation with Nintendo either, um, but they were right in that like the HD race was it was a dead end, right?
Yeah.
Because again, like if you can give me a game that looks like a Super Nintendo game, and it's a good game and it's fun and I can get locked in, I don't need all of this extra tech to play it. Like it just doesn't. Now, if you give me an SNES looking game that runs like crap, then yeah, okay. But a lot of times that's not necessarily about the hardware. That's about the optimization from a dev standpoint, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's my point. Like the Octopath Zero demo, right? Game looks great. And it looks like a, you know, the HD 2D style. The game, it looks like you basically took the vision of Super Nintendo, you spiced it up, and now we release it. And like, I don't know the dev cycle or the specs well enough to determine whether or not a game like that needs a PS5 or a Switch 2 to run well. But the point is, we don't need every game to look like freaking Final Fantasy 16 to make it worth buying. It just needs to be a good game. It just needs to be fun. And I feel like the industry is kind of like lost that because a lot of games, it's, you know, I was talking with a friend about this the other day. It's like they don't often make games like they used to anymore. Like they just
Yeah.
don't feel the same. There's all these other components and elements to it that are, you know, clearly being monetized and all these other things that benefit the business. And it's like, what happened to the heart of why all of us came to love gaming and you know, the heart that brought us a lot of our favorite games of all time, a lot of our favorite retro games or older games that we grew up with, right? Um, it's just so much less common to see that unless it's a remake or a remaster. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, remasters and remakes, like give us something new." But every time they give us something new, chances are you're going to be like, "You know, this was fun, but remember that
Yeah.
game?"
I mean,
You know
some
what
of
I
that,
mean?
yes,
Like,
some of that is nostalgia, but also
"Oh, sure."
I would also say that that sentiment is alive today. It's just that it's either A, buried underneath publisher demands, or B, it's an indie game. Like and that's the thing. The indie space is
Yep.
beginning to thrive more and more and more.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you know, the health of the greater game industry absolutely impacts the health of the industry of the indie side. Like I think some people think, oh yeah, like everything's gonna be fine because indies are gonna take off. It's like no, they still need all this other stuff to be running well and for like the money to be
Right.
moving. Um,
Right.
but there is something I think to be said for the indie space in terms of how like yeah, that is where we're seeing some of these kind of games that have that more direct connection. I mean, I didn't talk about this during our Game Awards thing, but I understand why it wasn't up for anything, but it also bothers me. Deltarune, Chapter 3 and 4 this year, some of the best gaming I did this year, and like it's incredible, and it's like it's and that's made on that kind of smaller scale.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I think I think it's ultimately just because it's so frustrating, but
Yeah.
the mainstream like consumers are just easily impressed, and they're also equally easily disappointed,
Yep.
and it's and I think that like, and I'm not saying that that's for like all of the like, you know, kind of award game of the year confronting type contending type games. Um but I don't know. I feel like I just like notice a pattern of like some of these like prestige game like, you know, prestige video games, or just like how they tell stories and how they're presented, and it's just like, boy, yeah, y'all saw The Last of Us and y'all thought, let's do that. And
Yeah.
even back then, I wasn't like super blown away with The Last of Us. I'm still not. Like
Yeah.
you know, but like it's like, for example, and I'm not trying to open this can of worms because we've also got to talk about other shit.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have to move on. This turned
But
into a whole thing, but
this turned into a whole thing.
yeah.
But like I think that like when I think about like the way that I think that a lot of games nowadays feel like, or just the way that storytelling is done, and this isn't just in JRPGs, this is in
Sure.
like a bunch of games where like they feel like that they have to grab you by the throat to make you like interested in what in the game that they're the story that they're trying to give you
Right.
in the opening, like in the very
Yeah.
opening, they have to like absolutely engross you,
Sure.
or you're just like not going to continue playing the game. And I've just started to notice that. And like
Yeah.
again, sometimes it really works and sometimes it doesn't, but it all just kind of leads back to The Last of Us and how like the opening of that game is.
Yeah.
Which again was just like, okay, that was sad. But anyway,
Yeah.
but like you look at God of War 2018, right? You do the opening, go straight into the Baldur fight, and it's just like, and then it slows down, but it had to do this thing to get the player involved. And then
Yeah.
like same thing with God of War Ragnarok. Literally starts off with Freya like assaulting you out of nowhere, and like
Yeah.
it's like to a more somber degree, Expedition 33. It starts with the Gamage. Like I get it, y'all. We need to stop. We need to stop with this structure
Yeah.
because and because like that's like something that I've just like taken notice over the years with like with all these like really beloved games. Where it's just like, can we like start games differently where you don't feel like you have the player has the attention span of a fly, and like
Yeah.
where and like start things off in a way that does just
Sure.
feels more natural, I guess. But anyway, that's
Yeah.
like something that I've noticed, and I
I-
wanted to like bring up.
Yeah. One last. I swear we'll move on.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
on something you said. I do find it interesting though that like we talk about games that are like the game of the year bait or whatever, right? And it's like, oh yeah, like the Sony first party. This year, I feel like the only game that really meets that requirement is Death Stranding 2. Like you look at the lineup and it's indie games or like kind of offshoot, slightly weirder, specific niche entries, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Not exact like yeah, it's a graphically impressive game, but it is not what I would call like your standard first party cinematic action RPG experience or whatever. You know what I mean? And I know you just specified Expedition 33 as far as like how it does its opening grab, but I would still say that the way that approaches it and also just the general presentation of the game is not quite the same as like what we're seeing in the first party space. And
I
then
don't
it's
think
like
I would agree with that. I don't think I would agree with that.
it is not nearly as polished looking as like
It's not
a
as polished
yeah.
looking, but the presentation and the cinematics are very similar.
Yeah, but it's also not going for I understand. Okay, you're saying you're using the word cinematics, but I don't think it's going for the kind of cinematic energy that we get that are trying to create movie-like moments at the start or middle. Like I think 33 is a different game for the most part. Like yeah, you have the
Agree to
opening
disagree.
yeah,
Agree
I
to
think they're
disagree.
different. I do I look at the examples of like Last of Us and God of War and I feel like those are much more in that vein.
Expedition 33 is my game of the year, so
It's yeah, it's in the running for my personal pick as well. Cam is not happy about it. That's a whole
I
other
love that game.
conversation.
I
Yeah.
love
Hold
that
on,
game.
hold
But
on. Okay, okay. We're saying the Expedition 33 piece, and then we're
Cam's over
moving
here
on.
crapping on it. Unbelievable.
Here's the thing. No,
Unbelievable.
no, like before Expedition 33 came out, I was the most annoying motherfucker about
Yeah.
Expedition
Yeah.
33.
Setting
I
yourself
was
up
like,
for the greatest degree of disappointment. I understand.
no, exactly. and I I started playing it, and like, and people were already really high on it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Get to the end of Act 1, I'm like, okay, like that is a choice that they made that I'm super interested in seeing what happens there. And I'm nearing the end of Act 2, and I'm just like, nothing's really happening. Nothing's really happening in the story. And we're almost done. And then I also hear that like, oh, once you get to Act 3, you can basically just like finish the game. I'm like,
Yep.
But nothing's happened.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, no,
again, you
there's
just yeah. The problem is I can't talk to you about this at length until you finish it. That's the thing. Like
I know, I
every time it
understand
comes
that,
up,
and
it's
that's
like we
and
just
that's what I'm
can't
saying. But what
get
I'm
into
saying
it.
is
Yeah.
like people are like say like are act just in general. There's the whole just general of like, oh, JRPGs are back to like it's like on the weekend it's like, oh, JRPGs are back when they've always been here. To the other end where it's like, oh, this is like this generation's Chrono Trigger. This is one of the greatest games ever made. And I'm like,
Yeah, but
I don't.
like you're also responding. Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm not saying those sentiments don't exist, but those are also coming from either engagement farmers or people who are really just like experiencing the genre for the first time, and it's going to happen. Like, any big release is going to be someone's first time, like someone out there. You know what I mean? And like, I'm
Sure,
not
but
saying you're wrong. I'm just saying like I don't think that sentiment is as widespread as
I know. I mean,
you
I
think
know
it is.
people in the industry that feel this way.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying
Yeah. So like,
it's not I'm just saying it's not like every person out there is saying, "Oh yes, this is what JRPGs like are now back," or whatever.
no. That's why I put it on the on the lesser end of things.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that everyone that likes the game falls into that. I'm just saying like that is what the discourse of this game has been.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can like Expedition 33 and not be in that spectrum anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I feel like that is a lot of the discourse that has been around this game. And again, just me playing the game and like what I played so far, I'm like, the beginning, super cool, super great,
Yep.
loved it. And then there's like the end of Act 1
Wait.
and
Have you beat it?
It's not. That's
no,
part of the issue. Because we
no.
can't talk about why it works for some people and why it doesn't, because
Yep.
he doesn't actually know the whole thing. And so like that's
And
why
I'm getting to it. I swear I'm getting to it.
it's just
Um
yeah. It's just we've ran this ground a few times in the podcast. I can't talk to you about it more because
I
like
know, I
Yep.
know, I
Yep.
know, I know. I'm talking about it because Brandon's on the podcast again. I'm not trying to
This is
repeat
my fault.
old talking points.
The
No,
length
the
in
context you need
Expedition
to know.
33. My
You
fault.
need the context. You need the context. And so yeah, but even on top of that, there's certain things that I don't love that I can talk about right now. Like I think the parrying isn't super consistent personally, and that's someone who is like pretty like proud and confident about my parrying abilities in video games. Like I just like as someone who like loves Sekiro and like loves like like that type of no, it's not the same type of parrying,
sure.
but of course, but like I love like that kind of engagement. I just don't feel like I think the visual cues are not good a lot of the time. Um and I think that the game, even though there is like a bunch of uh other options and like you can dodge instead of parry, that type of thing, like I think the game just gravitates the game design gravitates too much the on like relying on parrying to find major success.
Sure.
I take an issue with that. I don't like the picto system. Like I think that
Oh,
it's
I
just
love the Picto system.
yeah, don't like it. Don't
The
like it.
customization that you can get into with that can get into some crazy builds, and so I feel like it was for me it was like a game breaker's dream. And that's one of the things that I like about RPGs is when I can find ways to break the game.
Yeah.
That's like a thing for me. It's one of the reasons I love Fire
Oh,
Emblem so
yeah.
much.
Mm.
So with the Picto system, yeah, you can do some crazy things that can get around some of the pairing problems and the challenges that are in there. Um, I mean, I hear you though. I do think one of the things that was helpful for me with the pairing specifically was that a lot of times there are audio cues and you're not
Mm.
thinking about it because you're looking for the cue, but you can hear when something is coming.
Yep.
And so I've heard people say before, like sometimes if you're like testing something out, like close your eyes and listen and then try to do that. And then you may find that you'll have a lot more success. So I hear you. I hear you. But I found that overcoming a lot of the challenges in that game is what made the game for me personally so much more valuable because like when you finally figure certain things out and you get that build right and you get your team working the way you want it to work and you figure out the parry system and you overcome some of those stupid bosses. uh I don't know. There's something about that that's just like I am the greatest RPG player of all time.
I definitely
Yeah, and I think
remember
that
I
I
definitely
think that kind of aspect of a JRPG just doesn't interest me.
Mm.
yeah. Different
I'm like,
strokes. Yeah.
yes, I like seeing how characters evolve and how their like kits are built over time and things like that. I'm there for the gameplay. Like I'm there for the gameplay, of course, but like I'm there for the story, right?
Yeah.
And the story, it's one of those things like I need to finish the game just so I can feel validated
Sure.
because like people are saying like this is one of the greatest stories ever. I'm like,
I-
what are you talking about?
would-
Nothing has happened. It's been fucking 15 hours.
So I will say on that aspect, without us getting fully into it, because again, we can't.
Yeah.
Look, Expedition 33 is a type of story that some folks really eat up. Some folks being me.
And me.
and if
Most people, it sounds like.
yeah, but it also absolutely does not work for some folks. And that's because Expedition 33 is ultimately a game that's more about its themes than it is its characters. And there's a couple games that you and I've talked about where I forget what game came up, and I was like, I swear there's a correlation between why this game didn't work for Cam and why Expedition 33 isn't either. I can't remember what game it was, but it was another game where it was a very like theme heavy, kind of philosophical focus over character development. And I think that is a recurring thing for games that are working for me and not for you, is that it is ultimately a game where like, yes, there are characters and there are arcs and there are relationships. That is not really the focus of 33 at the end of the day.
I would say that is mostly true to some degree.
To some degree, yes.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, there are character things that matter, but it's just, again, we can't really properly get into it because so much of it is loaded.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Cam, you have some homework.
Yeah.
And
I know.
we'll revisit this one.
Yeah, we will someday do a spoiler cast, and I think if we're looking for like an additional guest who's hot and an additional guest that's not on it, Brandon, you are now a potential hot fellow person, and we'll find it out.
I'm here for it.
I really want. Ideally, I really want to finish it before the Game Awards, because then me and Kevin can talk about it in person.
You have 2 weeks, my friend.
But again, I'm near at the end of Act 2, so apparently I can just finish the game.
You have 2 weeks, my friend.
Okay, you do not have the room to, with that sass, Mr. Oh, I'm going to play Trails in the Sky before the... Yeah.
No, I'm guilty.
No room to talk.
Yeah, we're all guilty. Whatever.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, thankfully the rest of the stories...
So that was our second news story about the Steam machine.
all the other news stories are very quick. There's a Jazz Final Fantasy IX vinyl coming. Kevin,
CD.
do you want to bring anything additional to that?
It's a CD, not a vinyl, and I wish it was a vinyl.
Oh, it's a CD. Oh,
Yeah.
then why'd you? That's boring. Anyway.
Well, listen, Kev, I'll send you my address, and I'll look forward to it. Thanks. All right.
Fatal Fury City of the Wolves DLC character Mr. Big comes out December 9th. Demon Slayer, the Hinokami Chronicles 2 DLC character Zenitsu from Infinity Castle comes out December 2nd. And Silent Hill 2 Remake is now on Xbox Series consoles. Now we're going to get into what we've been playing for this week. I did double check this, Kevin. So, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I am playing Octopath Traveler 0. I did get a code, but I can only talk about what was in the demo so far. So I'm going to talk about that experience a bit. As listeners on this podcast know, I'm kind of like a backhanded Octopath Traveler complimentary player in the way of like, I thought 1 was fine. Like, honestly, like, didn't love it. And I played a bit of 2 after hearing glowing things about it, but I felt like that the encounters were too long. And they were too often, that it just felt like that a lot of like unnecessary padding felt like it wasn't really respecting my time in a way that I kind of checked out. And Octopath Traveler 0, I was kind of on the fence on, because there's like the town building stuff. I don't really like that in my video games. But after playing the demo section of the game, this game fucking rules, actually. I think a lot. I'm really enjoying it in a way that I did not expect, but because it fixed a lot of those problems that I talked about with Octopath Traveler 2. By the time you get through the prologue, and you get to because I want to talk about the combat, the things that I have had issues with that I think this game fixed first. By the time so basically the game is split into 3. Technically 4, but like for the sake of simplicity, 3 arcs where there's these 3 different villains, and your job is to try and take each of them down. There's like the Master of Fame, Power, and Wealth.
Yep.
And by the time you get to the first one, you already got 3 or 4 party members in a way. So you don't have to worry. You're not playing through 10 hours of a game of just like one party member and dealing with the same kind of level of encounters. So the encounters go by so much faster that like even though the frequency is still the same, I just don't feel that weight to the encounters in the way that I did in Octopath 1 or 2. So that's great. Like right well, I can't talk about that. But yeah, so like but hold on, no, I can. By the time that the demo was over, you have like 7 party members, right? And like so at least that's what I had. And so that's like really cool. I didn't really play a whole lot with the back row, front row stuff because I just really didn't have a need to yet. The game is like relatively easy so far. Um, and yeah, so I really am happy about that. Like this is like now I'm like because I was a little hesitant on grabbing a code. I was like, don't really have the time for it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I irresponsibly said yes. And so yeah, I really enjoying that. One of the things that I want to talk about that I think is cool but also weird is how this idea of how everything is just all the scenes, it's just you because one of your party members is literally your childhood friend that also survives this like assault that happens in the story, and as well as one other person. Yeah, 2 of your childhood friends. But then when you do all these like story cutscenes, it's just you. And I don't
Yeah.
like that. I wish that they let
Oh,
them
that's
be
interesting.
a part of the
I
story.
I actually think that is one of the elements about the game that is better than Octopath 1 and 2. Because in Octopath 1 and 2, I love those games, by the way. I am not a backhanded fan. I'm a massive Octopath Traveler fan. Um, but one of the things that makes it hard to connect with those games is every time you go to a new character's thing, they're all like disconnected stories. And you
Yes.
don't really start feeling like a cohesive momentum until way later in the game. And in the Octopath Zero demo, because you're starting with an avatar character, no matter which story path you go down, everything is still like it still has one voice, so to speak, one character
Yeah.
that centralizes everything. And I imagine that that'll be true carried forward. And I actually found that to be it made it feel more like a classic RPG storytelling to me because you have a cohesive element for all of the stories
Yeah.
versus like now it's this guy and now it's this guy and now it's this
I,
guy and now it's this guy and you're like having to relearn who they are and what their quirks are and these different kinds of things like for the demo it was like this thing happens in the beginning. You have to go after these guys, and then you also have to restore it. And it's all kind of connected to like one central story theme. So anyway, I
yeah.
hear you, but I actually found that's one of the reasons this is probably so far, at least the demo, uh there's potential for this to be my favorite Octopath Traveler game, period.
I
And there are a lot of reasons for that, but that was one of them.
yeah. I will just chime in real quick where I think the problem you're running into particular, Cam, is honestly just a logistic issue where there are no required part like certain story beats might require a party member. Like we had that in the preview we did back at PAX where you had to have Fen with you, and that's why Fen showed up in cutscenes. Your childhood best friend is not a required party member past like the very opening of the story. So I think because the fact that you as a player could choose not to bring her along when doing some of these plot arcs is why she doesn't show up for like these cutscenes as part of like, chapter one of dealing with the whatever the leader of wealth and I forget the term they use right now, but all the major antagonists. The reason why she doesn't participate in those cutscenes is because she is not a hard requirement to bring along for that like quest. I think it's just a logistic issue there.
Fair.
Yeah,
And like
That's fair, but like
story wise, she's still in Wishvale, right? Like she's one
building
of the
stuff.
main characters for rebuilding things. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's fair,
uh
but I think that there can be a suspense of like disbelief, I guess, for me, where it's like yeah, like because it's a silent protagonist, and like I just don't think that I just like wish that we got because this goes in the whole thing about silent protagonists, but like I think that like having them, especially because they're directly connected to him like from childhood, having them in those scenes, having dialogue would have just like may just added a little bit more to like their like relationships and things like that. Um and if they're not in your party, that's fine. Because like it's one of those things where you go to a tavern to change your party, I believe. And so it's just like cool, like they're kind of always there, but they're always kind of not, if that makes sense, in a
Sure.
way where like I'm okay if they're like if they ended up not being in my party by the end, but at a certain point that they still show up in cutscenes. Like that's fine with me. Um it's not like a big deal like issue with me, but it is something where I'm like, oh, I kind of wish that we got more of them in, just because it felt like at least when they introduced them, like that they were like, hey, these are like key figures in this game because they grew up with you and things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's neither
I
here nor
get
there, I guess.
No, I get it though. I totally see where you're coming from on that. I think it's just like a logistical and structural issue with like the way they handle doing the paths, and again the idea of like they could choose to just ignore the idea of who's actively in your party or not, but I feel like that's just a choice they're not making here ultimately.
But yeah, I guess my point was like when you do the different paths, because your character is your character, you're like connecting with a character related to the new path. And
Right.
it's not like completely context switching. It's like inviting you, the player, into the new story, but it's still you.
Right.
And that makes it more cohesive than the other Octopath games where you start off with whatever Oswald, and so you start getting to know Oswald, and then you get to the next story beat, and Oswald doesn't exist anymore, even though he was your main character.
Yeah.
Now you're, whoever this other character is,
Therian,
right?
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're
Mm.
Therian, and now like you've totally switched context. You now have to get to know a new character, and that happens 8 times before before you start like actually moving forward. Whereas in this game, it's like you're always the same character. There's always the same story background. So that's why for me, I was like, as a starting point for this game in the demo, this feels a lot more cohesive, and this
Oh,
feels like it's
definitely.
going to like continue in a way that connects better than some of the other games. So
I definitely agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Trying to think if there's anything else in particular that I wanted to mention. Um, but yeah, I mean, like so far, I mean, these motherfuckers are evil. Like these, like the bad
Oh
guys,
yeah.
like the bad guys. Like one of the bad guys, I'm like, I don't care if I find out some traumatic backstory about you. You need to die. Like I was like, I want you to die, for the things that you have done. Like the particularly the power and fame villains, like they are evil, and I need them to perish.
Yeah, they all suck.
yeah,
And
dude. I heard some people online being like, Octopath Traveler's like a game for kids. I'm like, have you played an Octopath Traveler game
it's
before?
so
Like,
mature.
Yeah.
they go
It's
places, yeah, that you would not expect.
yeah, yeah. Like when because you learn basically the kind of general store like background of the characters in the first chapter, which are a part of the demo. And yeah, when you learn like the fame dude's background and like why he does what he does, I'm like, you are you are
You
crazy,
are not
dog.
okay.
You are yeah, you need to go to a psych ward immediately, cuz that's wild, and
Yeah.
it's very mature. It's very much like a this is not for children
Yeah, this is not for kids. Yep.
background. Like
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
like if you are a parent and you see Octopath Traveler 0 and you see a dude in a house on a cover art, do not enter. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Like
Yeah.
don't do it for your child. Um but yeah, overall so far very very glad that I um am checking this out, and I want like I'm in the headspace where I'm like I'm gonna finish this game, like, and I don't want to like take a break. I don't want to have to like move on to the next game and come back to it later. Like
Yeah.
I just want to keep playing Octopath Traveler 0.
That's a good feeling. That's a good vibe.
Yeah, it's really great. Um, did either of you have anything that you want to talk about?
Well, I don't have a game I've been playing. I have been playing stuff, but just nothing to really talk about here. But I did go to Round One is doing their Metaphor collaboration right now, and so we actually
Yeah.
went there last week to check it out. So I got a couple goodies from it, not all of which are within arm's reach. But just for going, I got these keychains, which are much bigger than I thought they were going to be. I thought this was going to be like half the scale, but
Yo, Round One, like the arcade,
Arcade,
slash
yeah.
bowling alley.
Yeah.
They're doing what?
yeah,
Yeah.
they announced this
I'm
back
gonna
at
look
the
this up right now.
they announced this back at the first star anniversary stream for Metaphor. So they're actually doing it in two phases where there's different like merch and stuff you can get based on like when you go. So we might end up revisiting during the second phase. I pretty much got everything I was interested in, but a friend of mine really loves Luis and like he's getting stuff in the second half. So we
Yeah.
want to go back for
I
that.
mean,
Bro,
Luis is
what?
Yeah.
great.
So yeah, but so for the first phase, they had these keychains which we got, and these were just for you had to buy so much game credit. They would just hand you keychains, and my wife has a. It's a good thing we don't live in a state where gambling is super common in nearby. But Round One is how she gets that fix with claw machines. And so she threw down a good bit of credit, and it was like, okay, cool, you can get 2 keychains then. I was like, all right, we'll take both. The other thing we picked up, this was you have to buy credit in the first place to be able to buy this, but you still have to buy it. It's not like a free bonus. But I got this game mat. That
Yo,
Ooh, that's
Right?
sick.
yeah, so this is what I'm now using
Dude.
at my setup right now. And they're doing a different design in the second half that has like Luis, Fidelio, and Basilio on it. So that's the one my friend wants to get. They have they're doing these like special food and drink items, and one of them is legitimately like a thing where they're doing something interesting. Where I forget what they called it. It was like the Refantasio Fizz or something, and it was like like Cal Pico soda with like a little curacao, and it's got some whipped cream on top, and it's like this fizzy. Honestly, pretty good drink. I usually feel like Round One like stuff is kind of fine or whatever, and like I thought that drink was pretty good. And then the other thing that's really funny is they have an item. They're like, oh, these are the crown bites, and it's literally just gyoza. It's just like fried gyoza. There's nothing. They don't
Oh,
like add
yeah.
anything. Like I like gyoza. Gyoza's good, so I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say no.
Yeah.
But it was just
Yeah.
like
They're
a
like,
very
would you
funny-
like some fried scepters? And they're like French fries.
Yeah, it's literally that's the line. But for getting those, you do also get like a coaster. So I got 2 coasters, and somewhat fittingly, I pulled both Fidelio and Basilio. So I was like, all right, the brothers are together. Like I got those for my coasters. I was kind of hoping for some different ones, but I'll take the win. There were characters I would have liked less, so that worked out. Yeah, and so it's mostly just like a lot of like bonus merch for either buying game credit or doing certain activities. A friend of mine really wanted they have like a good size beach towel with Heisme on it, and it's like, oh, you get that for doing the party pack. We're not going that all in. We're not we're not paying for that whole thing. But all the other stuff, the game mat in particular, I'm really happy with. Like, I you're always a little worried with some collab stuff where it's like, yeah, this is cool in concept, but they don't always like, put the actual quality into it, or there's like, it's just not like what it could be. The mat's fantastic. Like, I think this is actually it's like nice and thick, feels like good build material.
Looks great.
Yeah, really happy with that. The coasters are cool too. I'm not gonna look at to full set, so I'm probably just gonna end up leaving those to my friend who's like really into Metaphor. But yeah, it was a cool collab. And then we went around and played a lot of claw machines and won some figures. So we now have like 4 new Mikus in the house.
I love that. Oh man, I had no idea that was even a thing. Has Round One like done this with other franchises before?
They do a few different collaborations. I feel like I don't see them do a ton of game ones. I've seen a lot of like anime or like pop idol type stuff. Like I think they have a thing going on right now with Otto. Like I think Otto has like a collaboration with them for some items. But yeah, every now and then they'll do a game one, and this is honestly the most thorough one I've seen as far as like the amount of different merch and all the different stuff you can get.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Gonna have to pop over.
Yeah, if you're near one and you like Metaphor, like check it out.
Yep.
Now we're going to get into our topic of the show. We're going to talk about some of our favorite remasters and remakes, and maybe some of our least favorite remasters and remixes too. Who knows? But yeah, I think the first one that I think that's worth bringing up, just because Brandon, when we at least during PAX West, you were decked out in that Persona 3 jacket, so I'm
Oh
sure we
yeah.
have Persona 3 Reload to talk about.
Yep. That's definitely on the list. Oh man, Persona 3 Reload was so freaking good. Now, for me, I tinkered with the original Persona 3. But I actually watched the anime for that one. So I knew about the story. I hadn't
Mhm.
actually played very much of the game. But I knew enough about it that I was like, okay, maybe I'll get to it. And then when Reload was announced, I was like, all right, well, this is it. I'm all in. And just everything they took with that game, the way it looks, the way they changed the battle system to align more with Persona 5. I actually thought Tartarus was fun. The way that they redid it, and I know that that's one of the pieces that people hate most about the original is just like how repetitive it is and how difficult it could be and those kinds of things. I had a blast with it. I found ways to again break the game and do stupid amounts of grinding and things like that, and there was nothing in it anymore that made me stop, which was both great and terrible because that means I put more time in. But um, yeah, I loved it. Everything about it was so good, and the story just hits so hard, especially the way the game wraps up. It's just like you know what's coming, but even when you know what's coming, you're like, this is a remake. They could maybe like I don't know maneuver some things around, right? Uh, yeah, but it was so good. It's such a fantastic example of a remake. I know Mags was not super thrilled with the fact that Femc was not in the remake.
100%.
That's a common, yeah.
And so that was one of the reasons. I don't think she's actually gotten to it yet, and that was one of the reasons she hadn't, because she was kind of upset about it, but also hoping maybe that they'd
Yeah.
have some sort of classic Atlas Persona 3 Reloaded Reload DX Master Plus that has the content added. But so far nothing on that front. So
Yeah. I will say, just to your experience with it, like, as we mentioned earlier, like Persona 3 is my personal favorite of like that run of Persona. And that was like before 3 Reload was ever officially revealed, or even really before that one leak happened, like whatever it was, a year and a half in advance. Uh, that was a point I came back to so many times, like post Persona 5 and 5 Royal, where I was like, look, guys, like, I get it. Like, I understand why 3 is not the favorite for a lot of people because it shows its age in a lot of major ways. And like both FES and P3P have like their own different problems that are going to make it a little weird to get into. And like, I get it. I get it. But if this game got like the Persona 5 coat of paint, like if it got the visual presentation and the combat overhaul stuff that like came with that style, I feel like people would see it. Like they would see the genius
yep,
here. Like if they just had the opportunity. And I even know a few people that are like they played 3 Reload as their first way of playing 3 after being fans of like 5 and 4, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I get it now." Yes.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. No, totally.
Uh, I have a lot of thoughts on the Persona 3 remake. Because I played FES before Reload. Like back during the pandemic, I'm pretty sure. And at the time, I liked it. I thought it was like fantastic, but I didn't think it was like the same level as Persona 4 and 5. I think that, and there's certain aspects to that I like. There's still certain aspects that I think I'm like a little low on that I still feel that way with the remake, but like I
Sure.
do think overall like Reload like did give me a newfound appreciation. There are certain things that they did in the original that they removed or they reworked in the remake that I actually wish they kept. Like one of the things I really like about 3 was that you could have your party go out on their own
Mhm.
and like search for like treasures and things like that, which
Oh,
they
interesting.
kind of reworked that
Yeah.
in Reload, where someone was just like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead so that I can find like the exit immediately type deal, which
Mhm.
is cool. But I don't know, there's something about just like being able to have everyone go and like go their own routes, and then like if someone gets into a fight, it's just you two, which I thought was cool. Um, yeah, so I really like that. I also am one of those people, admittedly, and I feel so stupid about this, but I also know that I'm not alone here. I didn't realize what happened at the end of Persona 3 actually happened the first time I played it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like ah
Yeah.
relaxing type deal. And then I started the answer and I was just like, and I look and then I was like, and they said certain things and I'm like, huh.
And then,
Google search really quick. And then I
huh.
was like, wait a minute, what? And I lost my mind about that. But again, I know other people personally that
Yeah. I
they
do.
they also feel that way.
I do wonder if that's like a reload specific, like how it's presented in there versus the original, because it was definitely like obvious to me when I played like FES. Oh no,
It's
wait, you started with FES. That's right.
yeah, no, I feel stupid because in like when I look at it now, I'm like, oh yeah, obviously that's what happened. But
I mean, that's honestly
you
part of
know,
why I like that one more than the other two. But that's a whole other
oh
thing.
no,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
I think Persona 4 or Persona 3 has the best ending. But like I also think it's because of how
Mm.
yeah, no, 100%. No, the thematics
Take it
of
back, reel it back.
I don't
no,
want to
because
take it back. I agree.
the thematics of I think like when it came to like I like the themes
Yeah.
of 4 more. Like I love like what 4 the type of story that's telling more. But like I think that the way the calendar system is a narrative device in a way
Yeah.
that it's not in 4 and 5. And
Sure.
I think that the way that the game design of 3 and how it all leads up to the end of that game, I think makes that ending the best one.
Yeah.
That's a
There's multiple
yeah, it's
factors
a
in just like
powerful ending.
how the game ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that Persona 3 like definitely like a top 10, 15 best endings to a video game.
Yeah.
Like
I
I think.
I will say part of my experience with it too is the fact that like having played SMT games alongside Persona and then getting into later Persona games as they released, there was definitely a part of me who is this like I enjoyed slightly darker storytelling and like I'm like, what is this happy ending bullshit going on in 4 and 5? Like everyone just gets to live their lives and like they're fulfilled and like stuff's great. The hell is this? Like that was definitely a reaction I had, like keeping up with the franchise over time. Where I've mellowed out on that aspect a little bit, but it is absolutely one of the reasons why like I think 3 still stands out to me because it just feels more in step with like what I fell in love with that franchise for.
Mm. That's so funny. You shouldn't be
Uh
happy. What is this?
Not ever like give me bittersweet. I don't want like sad like just overall like bad endings, but like give me some turmoil to feel. I want my heart to wrench a little, you know?
while we are on the Atlas train, I'm we got to talk about Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Ooh, this one is still one that I have not played.
Oh my god,
And
So I
Brandon, it's
actually
I
so
know
good.
well and
Slam keeps like bringing it up. Actually, so we have our Discord channel and we're doing a membership thing where we had people vote for games that we're going to play, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions was on there, and I was hoping that would win, and it got second place. So Harvestella beat it. So we're going to be doing Harvestella, and I guess a little spoiler. I think Harvestella is a fun game, but I kind of wish Tokyo Mirage Sessions won.
Tokyo Mirage Sessions is so fucking good.
it's a very
It's
underappreciated game. Absolutely.
it's so good. I think that like this dude, the session system is so good. And like I think that a lot of my kind of criticisms of Persona, which in general is like, like the dungeons are either procedurally generated or they're like directly scripted. There's no like puzzle aspect to the dungeons, like that type of deal. Like the dungeons in Tokyo Mirage Sessions is like the best that Atlas has done, in my opinion.
Mm.
I don't know. Would you agree with that, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I've been somewhat critical of like Atlas dungeon design. Like that's part of the reason why I actually really dig Tartarus and stuff is because I actually think the randomized dungeons are more interesting than the handcrafted ones. I think the
Yeah.
handcrafted ones are visually very pretty, and I think there's a
Yeah.
presentation level there that like Studio Zero's done a great job with. But I just don't think they're interesting in the sense of like being dungeons mechanically. And so for me, that's not a super high bar to clear. But yes, I do think Tokyo Mirage Sessions like does a better job there.
I genuinely think you're gonna like when you start Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Brandon, you're gonna be mad that you waited this long. You're
I
you're
believe
gonna
it. I
you're
believe
gonna be
it.
like, I can't
Yep.
believe I waited this long to play this game because it really is that good. Also, like, and this might be a hot take. I think Itsuki is like one of the best, like, not particularly a silent protagonist, but he very like you have dialogue choices. He's not voiced though.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that like he is one of the best silent protagonists, like in general. Like he's so good.
Okay.
And just like the thematics of like what that game does, um, and how it all like ties into his character is like really, really great. I love the entire cast. Like it is a tragedy. Like the most tragic thing when it comes
It,
to JRPGs for me is like how Tokyo Mirage Sessions just came and went twice, and we're probably never going to get another one. A lot of the you played SMT5, right?
Me?
Yeah, have you played SMT5?
I've played a little bit of SMT5. I've
So
not
the
beat
a lot of the
SMT5.
UI interface comes directly from SMT or Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, which was really
Okay.
surprising to see. I was like, "Oh shit, they're reusing Tokyo Mirage Sessions assets." But yeah, it's a very very good game.
Oh man.
And especially because you love Fire Emblem. Because like
Yep.
I
Yep.
played it right after I played Fire Emblem Awakening, which was my first Fire Emblem game, and now it's like one of my favorite games ever. And like very few games that isn't Kingdom Hearts I have cried playing, and I cried playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I like there's definitely a specific moment in that game where I'm just like, oh man, they got me. They got me here. And so yeah, I think you'll really really love it.
Man, so I'm just gonna quit YouTube, so I can go back to playing games as much as I want,
Exactly.
Yep.
and it'll be
Exactly.
fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Um
it's one of those. I got it on the Wii U and I didn't play it, and I have the Switch version and I haven't played it. So I have them.
Yeah.
I just need to figure out when I'm gonna slot it in, and that's kind of why I was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this like vote. If it wins, that's like my excuse to get in there." And then it didn't win, so
Oops.
I'm gonna have to figure out another time to do it.
Yep.
yeah, make it next year. Next year's the year of Tokyo Mirage
Were,
Sessions for
were
you.
there
Yep.
were there changes or additions to the Switch version? I don't even remember.
They added like a not a post end game. It's kind of like something that you kind of do as you progress through the game,
Mhm.
a special dungeon,
Mhm.
and then you could get like a Joker's outfit and like things like
Yeah,
that.
the usual kind of costume
Um
cameo stuff.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It was cool. It was a nice little thing. They didn't really, they didn't really need to add much to that game. It's pretty tight and straightforward. Which was also like refreshing for an Atlas game, JRPG. But yeah. So, um Kevin, do you have a
Ooh.
remaster or remake you want? Oh, actually, no. Let's break open this can of worms. Let's
Okay.
talk
Uh-oh.
about let's talk about Final Fantasy VII remake slash rebirth. Let's talk about that because
Okay.
where do you stand on the remake versus rebirth debate, or I guess, or just like in general? Because like I think
Versus?
we can all recognize
Like which one
that
you like
like
better? Is that what you're saying?
all of
Or
them are like that. It's both great.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like which one you prefer between the two?
Yeah. Which one do you prefer, or like your general thoughts on both of them? That type of deal.
I mean I prefer Rebirth personally.
Okay.
I thought but I loved Remake. But here's the thing. So like and actually Mags and I have had this conversation because she's not hot on Remake. She doesn't love it. But she never played the original 7. And I played the heck out of 7. I played everything 7 related. 7 I watched Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus. Like I went hard in the 7 universe. So remake for me was exciting because, and maybe this is just my own theory crafting, but I'm like, this feels to me like it's a sequel to the original game. Like it's a remake in the truest sense. Like there is some multiversal shenanigans going on where things are being remade, and so we're still going to tread, the same general path, but there are going to be weird, unique things about this that we didn't get in the original. And because I was such a massive Final Fantasy VII lore nut, that just made me go crazy, and all of my, theory senses were going off, and I enjoyed it. And so remake, I loved the gameplay. There were some elements of it that I was like, why did you do this? Like going in that one the sewers where there's like that claw, and they're like, here, take 30 minutes to get this
Oh
Mm.
yeah.
stupid claw to pick you up and move you over here. Like that kind of stuff they definitely could have tightened up. But rebirth was just like what is going on here? And actually it was funny because I also got made fun of for not liking rebirth too, because what I said was rebirth was too much. And what I mean by that is like the story, the way they presented the story was so freaking good that all of the other stuff that you can do that was also really good took away from the best, which was the story. And so it was hard to want to experience all of it on a first playthrough because I wanted to get through the story so bad. But I still found myself, like the first area, I spent like 10 hours in the first area because I did everything. And basically after the second area, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I want to know I want to know how this story is going to progress. I want to see the characters I know are coming. So, like, I have to just like give up my perfectionist tendencies and play through the story. And I'm glad I did because the presentation for it was unbelievable. And I would love to go back and play it again so I could do all the rest of the extra stuff, but I have Tokyo Mirage Sessions to play, so I can't do that.
Hell yeah, you do, brother.
So I like what they did. Um, some of the best, I think, like experience, like especially from a combat standpoint, like what
Oh
Square
yeah.
Enix like pulled off here. I'm like, you could just stop worrying about 16 or turn based and just kind of lean into this with your main series, and I think you would be fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've had that
But
talk a few times.
yeah. I'm kind of hoping that whatever the third one ends up being, I thought it was going to be Reunion for a while until I realized that the Crisis Core remake was called Reunion, and so that
Requiem.
throws that out. Um,
Requiem. I
okay,
don't care
yeah.
if Resident Evil took it first. Requiem.
But I think what I hope they do, they'll probably make it massive like Rebirth, but I kind of hope we get a continuation of Rebirth, but they kind of scale it down a little bit more. Like I'm not advocating for like less quality by any means, but again,
Less
there's
scope.
just yeah, like let's just tighten it up just a little bit so that you can get all of the things done without having to spend 10 hours in the first area,
Yeah.
right? Before you move on. Um, but I'm still whatever they do, I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
I love them.
My
That being said, one final thing I'll say. I was really pissed off at Square Enix for showing us Ever Crisis and then making it mobile. And here's why. Ever Crisis is a perfect concept for a one-to-one remake of Final Fantasy VII because they have like the chibi art style that represents what used to be the polygons in the original, and then when you get into a battle, it looks like remake, which maps one-to-one to the original game. And if they just took that art style and they did a one-to-one remake for the original, it would be the best Final Fantasy VII like true remake they could have come out with, and instead we got a freaking mobile game. So as much as nobody needs to ask for more Final Fantasy VII stuff, there's still that part of me that's like, please just give us a one-to-one remake because I love these games, but I really would freak out if they were like, okay, fine, here you go.
it's funny you bring that up too because I thought the direction you were gonna go with that is the fact that Ever Crisis also introduces new lore that comes up in Rebirth, and it's like, why do I have how else am I going to get this? Like, especially if you want to take in all the different FF7 lore you can, having some of it rooted in a mobile game that, let's face it, is not going to be eternal and might get sunset someday, and who knows if they'll release a
Yep.
permanent version of it in some form for people to access. It's like, why is that plot locked there? Damn it.
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah,
that's like I've just kind of been turned off to mobile games in general.
sure.
But that was like a line where I booted it up, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not going to get sucked into this monetization nightmare. And I just decided I'll figure it out some other way.
But Brandon, what if I told you they're now doing a near 2B collaboration, and you can get Tifa in 2B's outfit, and you can get
I don't
2B
care.
as a party member? I actually don't know if you can get her. I know 2B shows up in some capacity. They just announced.
Burn it all to the ground.
I just
There's
know.
like yeah, it's like I think it's a boss or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I just know 2B has to have the record for like most collaborations and cameos at this point because
Oh yeah,
they just hand that out like candy.
well, no, Yoko Taro hands it out like candy. He literally said it himself.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, I'll take money."
Yeah. No, he has not been quiet about that. I love that man being so direct about that.
Yeah. No, so where I stand on remake versus rebirth, I'm the opposite. I think remake is the better game. I think it's more focused. I think it
is more
even
focused.
Though there are things that like rebirth does better for sure. But it's more focused. I think that the way that it all kind of plays out and lands is it sucks because like rebirth retroactively made remake worse because the way that remake ends is like, oh, it's kind of like anything is possible, anything's on the table, that type of thing. And that whole kind of concept that they very much push at the end of that game isn't really there in Rebirth. Like, yes, they go to places in different order. Some things like slightly pan out differently. We go to like a couple new locations, that type of thing. And ultimately, this is Final Fantasy VII, right? It's going to be the Final Fantasy VII story. And I'm not saying that it needed to go super far off the beaten path or anything like that. It just didn't do it enough for me.
Yeah.
It felt like it felt like it was too safe. And
Well, it feels like they really did it for a specific character. No spoilers here, and that ended up kind of being it.
Maybe.
yeah,
And like, who
yeah,
knows what'll
and
happen in part 3 is part of it too, right? Like, we're still working with an incomplete picture of like.
Sure. But I'm saying like the fact that Rebirth ended the way it did was like, okay, well, like this could be it. And frankly, I'm not even that mad about that. I think that was kind of a cool direction, but I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. And then
Yeah,
they
and
did
there's-
come out and say like it's still gonna basically be 7, but
yeah, and there's certain aspects that felt a lot more pushed, both from marketing and literal box art that just didn't happen. Like you start the game as Zack, and I'm like, oh shit, we're starting as Zack. This is crazy. Like, and then you play as him in a very small, boring partway through the game, and then, like it's like, why did y'all push Zack so hard when he's hardly in the game at all?
Yeah.
Like, I very much thought that there were going to be like decent chunks of this game where like you were doing stuff as Zack, whether you were like going to try and catch up with Cloud, or if you were doing stuff in Midgar, that's fine. Like if the story, whatever the story that made sense for the story, right?
yeah.
But
I hear you.
it was just so bizarre. Granted, the team up with him and Cloud against Sephiroth at the end immediately flashed me back to like Sora and Riku versus Xemnas at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Because it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. No, it's more that like I knew that would have hit you that way because you would have made that connection immediately.
100%. 100%. And so that part was super sick. I love that part of the game. But then at the in the end of the game, listen guys, this is going to be we're talking about spoilers.
Apparently.
Forget what I said earlier.
It's been over a year. You beat Sephiroth, and then Sephiroth just flies off and is gone. It's like, okay, like what the fuck? There's just it falls victim to being the second game of a trilogy, really bad. Where it's like, hey, some of these issues may not be an issue to me once the third game comes out. Like the third game may retroactively make Rebirth better. And here's the thing, like Rebirth was my runner-up for Game of the Year. Like I still love Rebirth. I just think that like it, when I talk to certain people about it, last year, it's like, oh, like, what are your thoughts on Rebirth? I'm like, I love that game, but if you ask me to talk about Rebirth, I'm going to talk about everything I didn't like about that game. Like that
Yeah.
because that's just how it is. Like the certain things that like I love about it are just kind of like the obvious things, but the things that like make Rebirth interesting are the things that like in concept are the things that I took issue with.
Hmm.
Because there were certain like again, not promises, but expectations that were
Yeah,
placed
yeah, they
in
set it up a certain way.
Yeah.
I
remake
hear
that
you.
just did not really come through in Rebirth. But combat, awesome. Wait, like the way that they somehow made the first game better, great. Love that. Love the boss fight still. Like, love all of the kind of minute to minute gameplay, like combat stuff. I am one of the guys that I feel like that there were too many mini games. And like in general, not a lot of them were super fun. Um, I think that was it Queen's something
Queen's Blood.
Queen's Blood. Queen's Blood is like a cool game. I definitely I think they dove into that a little bit too much outside of just like the side story of it all. I was like, I like this. I'm not trying to learn a whole like in-depth card game in my video game. I'm just not. Like I'm not a big digital card game person in general. Like I love Magic. I play paper Magic. I don't play digital Magic. Um and so that's fine. Like I think that like a lot of the mini games should have been kept to like the golden saucer, and then they could have instead made a bit more side quests in the locations that you were at that didn't involve mini games. Because the side quests, while they're not like amazing, they're not like Trails or like you know let's
Sure.
say like Witcher or like some other more like Western RPG level. Like they were good. Like I enjoyed them. But I think that those could have also been like a bit stronger. Hopefully going into the next game, like I want to see like an increase in quality there as well. But ultimately, like I like Rebirth a lot. I think Remake is better just because it just was more focused and it had a better pacing and things. Like I don't disagree with you that that part of the game that you mentioned is the worst part. And I think that people, I'm not saying this is you, but I think that like when people talk about that game, they make they make it sound like that part of the
That's
game
the whole game. Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like 25% of the I'm like
yeah,
that
yeah,
is
yeah,
30 minutes of a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
30-hour game.
yeah,
Like you cannot tell me that is
yeah,
the
yeah.
reason why you think this game is like super weak. Like stop.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and I feel like people way overemphasize the problems with remake. Remake was really really great, and honestly, I'm mostly agreeing with you on Rebirth. I had more fun with the mini games and stuff than it sounds like you did, but still, for me, like going back to what I said earlier, like it felt like a scope issue, right? Like Queen's Blood was super cool. The board game with Gilgamesh was like really funny and exciting, but like
Yes.
getting to the end of those side stories was difficult because I was like, I have to spend so much time focusing on this and perfecting this craft when I just want to get through and see what the end is going to be like. So if they like reduce that scope a little bit so you still get the fun cameos and the fun extras, etc., without making it really hard to actually master these things and get to the end of whatever that story is, that to me would feel better because it's like, oh, I can do extra things in a way that's not like, oh, I've lost Queen's Blood for the 10th time and I need to go like figure out a way to get the best deck and maximize things and find the best strategy and like basically treat this like its own full game to get to the ending of it when I'm trying to get to the ending of the actual full game, right?
Yeah.
Um yeah, so that's I think we're pretty closely aligned on that.
I will say, as someone who finished Rebirth later, I don't think this is the case for Queen's Blood, but all the other minigames did add a toggle easy mode option that makes them pretty
Oh, really?
simple. Yeah, like
Oh, I didn't even
it
know that.
simplifies. It makes like I think it was like I did it like once for like the final Fort Condor minigame, and because I was just like I'm not into this that much, and like I'm the half effort I'm putting in right now is not enough to like clear this. And I was
Well,
like, oh,
exactly.
there's an easy mode option, cool. And then it just was like not. It's definitely like easy to
Okay.
the point of like, oh, we're just turning off that this is a challenge. All right.
Okay. I
Um,
honestly I'm okay with that because like that Fort Condor, for example, I was like, I'm here because I freaking love Gilgamesh and he just showed up in this game. I don't actually care that much about Fort Condor. Like I got a little bit into it, but when it started getting really hard, I'm like, I just want to see what's happening with Gilgamesh. Like
Yeah.
that's really why I'm here.
Yeah, they
So
patched
yeah.
that for that exact reason. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, good
They,
to know.
that's funny, because that's actually one of the things that also weirdly remaked it better than Rebirth was Fort Condor. Like Fort Condor and the Intergrade stuff was better than the Rebirth because of the way that they designed and made some design
And
changes
just
and
the
stuff.
balance of the battles too, I think was just a little wonky. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's also because
Fort
you
Condor's great,
yeah.
like great minigame.
Yeah, no, it is a good minigame. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I fall in a similar camp as Cam when it comes to like at least remake versus rebirth. I agree with a lot of what you're saying as far as I think my big issue with rebirth is that it is just like there is so much, and it is both cool but also kind of overwhelming and a little
Right.
burnouty. Um,
Right.
yeah, I really like the tight pacing of remake. I will say my kind of weird hot take about all of this, and we don't need to necessarily get into all this right now, but in my mind these aren't remakes. This is a sequel. Like I just treat it as it's a whole new thing.
No,
Like it's
that's yep.
yeah
That's how I'm looking at it.
yeah. It's
Yep.
like sure it's a remake. It's a sequel.
It
This is
is.
a new game.
Well,
Like
it's
that's
both.
why
It's
I
both.
said what I said about like give us an actual one-to-one remake because that like if you really wanted to like make this a beautiful package for everybody who's willing to be obsessed with Final Fantasy VII, give us an actual one-to-one remake of the original, make it look like Ever Crisis. Shoot, if you want to throw some of the lore dumps from the mobile game in there, fine, and then have the remake trilogy and be like, "Hey, you can get all of it in this," right? Um yeah. So at the end of the day, like I've always been a sucker for Seven. Like I still love Dirge of Cerberus. I'm like one of 10 people on the planet that love that game.
that is the
Because it
correct
was
figure. I think.
Seven. Yeah, yeah. So I like went down that rabbit hole and I loved it and I love the characters and I love the lore and I love how insane it gets. So I'm gonna be here for pretty much anything Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy in general, but um yeah. But I do wish that we got like an actual like full on seven remake 1-to-1.
I do want to say
Okay.
that I'm probably just a masochist this way, but like when you mentioned the difficulty option for the mini games, I'm just like, no, like, no, I just want the mini games to be like better. I don't need them to be easier. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, I'm happy that it's there for those that need it, but like, no, I'm gonna beat this like the way that it was intended and then complain about it.
I want the right to complain, but I also want to
That
complain from a place of
like the difficulty thing cannot be a pass. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Oh no,
Like, I'm just
yeah, and I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if you're really bothered by it, you don't want like if you want to skip over it in replays, like there you
for
go.
sure.
That option is there.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, Kevin, was there any remake or remaster you wanted to talk about?
Oh man, so many that are so good. I was looking over my library of games that I have and like what remakes have like really stood out to me or ones that I thought were special, and it reminded me like how good the PSP was for RPGs.
Mhm.
Because there were so many like re-releases that happened there with some pretty notable changes. Some of them there's some mixed reception. Like War of the Lions for Tactics kind of has its ups and downs, which is part of why they like didn't bring everything from that back into the new remake. But I grabbed actually a couple of them off my shelf. Star Ocean First Departure.
Let's
Uh,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you. So we never got the original version of this in the U.S. However, if you were a kid growing up at the right time where you're playing fan translations via emulation, like myself, you played the SNES version of this or Super Famicom version at least, and like it was good, right? Like it was a little, I think visually a bit too desaturated for my taste. Although there was some art direction choices there that were pretty cool. But First Departure, they basically took a lot of the engine and style design of Second Story and just put that into the plot and style of everything that happens in the original Star Ocean game, and it just brings so much of it like more to life. I think in
It
a
was
better
so
way.
good.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
big glow up. I think they added some plot elements that really fixed some optional content in the game that would be very confusing without what they added in First Departure without getting too spoilery. Like there's a whole new character you can get in First Departure that you couldn't get in the original game, but you could find them and you would just be very unhappy if you did and how it played out back then. Yeah, Yeah, so just like I think it's in terms of like what it added to the original, how it brought it in line with what is definitely the most popular entry in the franchise. Uh, just a very like solid, good remake. I think in all the right places.
Yeah. Yeah, so the PSP is such an interesting call out because so I played Star Ocean 3 was my first Star Ocean game on the
Mm,
PS2
yeah.
because my friend introduced me to it. And I had a friend in high school named Steele who introduced me to like everything that I love now in terms of like JRPG IPs. And so I played 3, and then on the PSP, they came out with First Departure, they came
Mhm.
out with Second Evolution,
Yep.
they came out with Valkyrie Profile, they came out with a bunch of the Final Fantasy games. So like all of the stuff they brought to the PSP, I just ate that up. They have Tactics Ogre, they had the not the Evilise Chronicles, that's the better one. The War of the Lions, right?
Yep.
Um, yeah, so for me, the PSP is funny. The Game Boy Advance and the
Boom.
PSP is largely how I experienced a lot of the classics that I missed.
Yeah. Well,
So
and those really
yeah.
became like the bastion for JRPGs for a while when like, you were kind of seeing them die down a little bit in kind of the PS3 360 space. Like handheld was
Hmm.
where JRPGs really thrived. Not that we didn't have some good
Yep.
hits, on console. But yeah, like these remasters and ports as well as just re-releases. I mean, we have the Pixel remasters now, but like there was the GBA Final Fantasy remakes, which were
Yep.
actually really solid.
Got all of
Like,
those up there. Yep.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they're great. I
yeah.
loved those games. Yep.
Yeah, way better than some of the more smoothed out later mobile versions that took those.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's such a good play, and that was actually so one of the other games I grabbed from PSP library for similar reasons. The Tactics Ogre remake they did on there because like Reborn is cool, and I like Reborn, and I think both Reborn and this have frustrating choices that like doesn't really make either of them the definitive way to play this game. Like I think they both just have their unique strengths, but I absolutely love what this did to the original Tactics Ogre in terms of like expanding the story scope just a little bit more, introducing some new characters. I think one of the biggest things it does that's huge is the fact that one of the things I love about the original Tactics Ogre is it has the branching plot line where you make certain major choices and then whole chapters of the game are different based on what you do. And the PSP version played with that by basically making that a new game plus mechanic where it's like, hey, do you just want to like go back in time, try the other choice, have your party members, and just keep playing and like get even stronger and like experience all this stuff and being able to, it almost became like a new late game goal to just fill out the map of how all
Mm,
the different story bits could play out. And it's a ton of freaking playtime if you get
yeah.
into that aspect of it. It adds up. Uh, and just, I mean, it's just one of my favorite older titles, and I think this really added the right coat of paint to it. Still, some of my favorite concept art in games ever. Like I didn't grab it, but I have the art book for this version of Tactics Ogre, and it's just like the perfect balance of like style, but also a little bit of utility to the armor design choices. It's not just like silly choices for like how characters dress or wear. And just like the right balance of like fantastical, but grounded in a way that you don't always see in the genre that I absolutely eat up.
Yeah.
And I think fits the vibe of Tactics Ogre so well because, that Matsuno style RPG is so much more kind of dirty in a sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's man, that's a great pick, and just the you're just like bringing me back. I got my PSP shelf. I don't know if you could see it. It's like right here with all of my PSP games that I still have there.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're taking me back. Taking me back, brother.
Yep. And the only other one I wanted to shout out real quick outside of like recent releases, because I think, we were talking about like how good Dragon Quest 1 and 2 was like on the last pod. But also just I'm so happy this exists. Just Live Alive, like just the fact that this happened, that it came out again,
Yeah,
that it came out in the West at all.
it
Uh
gives us hope.
yeah, and I think it's a solid remake. Like it has the HD 2D look and it has the more like actual like pixely style aesthetic to it. It didn't go for like the 3D backgrounds like we're seeing with like the Dragon Quest games. But I think it just remade the right aspects of it, still kept all the really weird aspects of Live Alive that I think make it unique and special, and I'm just happy it happened at the end of
Yep.
the day.
I'm really hoping that someday they decide to pull that on Bahamut Lagoon.
Yep.
Because I got a like a reproduction cart for that and played that not too long ago, and I was like, this would be a stick remake to
Yeah.
just like out of nowhere Square be like, hey, we're bringing it back. I would be
Yeah.
so freaking hyped for that.
No,
So
that and Treasure of the Rudras are like the two big ones where it's like, could
Yeah.
you bring that over? Is that like an option
yeah,
too? Because you did it for Live
can
Alive.
we do that next? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's do that
I
next.
think
Right?
they're gonna
I
do it.
know.
I think they're gonna do it. at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, as soon as Square like made some of the changes that they made, where they're like, we're going to be prioritizing different things, I'm just like, how many treasures have they canceled due to these changes? And I'm trying not to like think about it too much, but I really hope they find a way to squeeze some of those things in and hype them up because I would be so pumped.
Yeah, I think because when it comes to that team, or that that studio, like, do they have like 2 or 3 projects at a time? Because it seems like there's like Octopath and then like something else, and then
So there are multiple teams working on. So when you look at like HD 2D games in general, there are different teams. Like Dragon Quest was not handled by the same people that do like Octopath, and that's
yeah,
even why
yeah,
you see this difference in like environments because both styles use the same kind of like sprite art for their characters, but then the environment approach is so different. Like you're getting these ones like
yeah,
Star Ocean and Dragon Quest where it's like 3D environments, and then you're getting Octopath and Adventures of Elliot and all these ones that are way more like, oh no, this is the pixel. Like they're really leaning into what HD 2D was kind of initially promised and
Yeah.
shown off as, and I believe those are all like that main Team Asano group. I don't think there's subdivisions for that, but I could be wrong.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if we got something after Elliot comes out, like post
I'm
Elliot.
super pumped for that game. That demo was freaking incredible.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
I
This
loved it.
like East Zelda
Yeah,
mashup.
Yeah, I was getting some major Zelda vibes from it, and I was like, I was over there like The Legend of Zelda, The Adventures of
yeah.
Elliot. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. There's like a little bit of Secret of Mana in there too, with like the way different
Yeah, yeah,
weapons
yeah,
work out and stuff. But that's also East coded a
yeah,
bit. Yeah. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
I'm looking forward to that one.
I wish they would do Triangle Strategy 2, which supposedly was a thing at some point and no longer is. Who knows? We can only go off of what's kind of been reported on that. But
I also
yeah,
love Triangle Strategy.
we'll see what they
Yeah,
do.
yeah. But we did get the Evil East Chronicles, and there's all this talk about, more tactics. I know a lot of my friends are super hyped about any possibility of Advance and A2
Yeah.
getting the remaster treatment, which I would really appreciate. I liked Advance and A2. I would say they were very addicting for me from a gameplay standpoint,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I have such a deep appreciation for tactics and the story of tactics that when I got to like Advance and it was like you're a kid and you're
Yeah.
learning to play in a snow
It's
yard
a
and like
very
you're
different
getting
vibe.
sucked into a book. Yeah, it's like,
I
is this tactics? Like,
I
are
will
we playing
say
the same games here?
Advance starts very like fun that way, but Advance actually does take a pretty dark turn,
Oh,
like
totally. Oh,
conceptually.
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
there's some choices with that one. But yeah, and, like it's one of those things where it's tactics in name, but like you can tell there's the Matsuno era where he was doing, Tactics Ogre and then Final Fantasy Tactics, and then they kept using the name Final Fantasy Tactics, but like totally different team, different goals, different approach.
Yep.
And I like
Yep.
those games a lot in a different way
Yeah.
than I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
Final Fantasy Tactics. But I would love to see those come back as well. I mean, the tactics genre in
Yeah.
general that's always been a subgenre of JRPG that I absolutely adore. And I was very excited to see maybe more of that happen after Triangle Strategy, and we're still seeing it with like remakes and remasters. But it's like we can get some new blood in here too, still, guys. Like we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
do it.
Triangle Strategy was new and it was good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Cam, how are you on remakes?
Brandon. Oh, what?
Said Cam, what about you for remakes? Like, what's some favorites for you, buddy?
Well, I was gonna say, I was like, Brandon, where do you stand with Pokemon?
Where do I stand with Pokemon? What a question. Well, listen, because I know how much the Pokemon community always loves to come together and support each other, and we all have the same opinions, I would be happy to talk about that on a podcast where there won't be any angry comments at all in your comment section. I'm a big Pokemon fan. Um, I am definitely struggling a bit with the newer releases. I really liked ZA, but I still have a lot of critiques for ZA. Scarlet and Violet, I wanna like leave that one a little bit alone because I know on the Switch 2 with all of the performance enhancements, like there's
It's great.
there's some good to be found there. Yeah, but like playing it on the Switch, I enjoyed it for the most part, and then it just kind of became forgettable for me. Like the ending was really interesting, but it felt like a prototype. Like I don't know. They got to the end and they're like, "Hey, let's make this like look and feel like Xenoblade, but also no voice acting and like I don't know. It's almost like they just didn't want to finish what they started." And ZA felt a little bit like that too, where ZA I thought was really great. I beat it and really enjoyed it, um but the lack of voice acting felt really awkward, especially at the end of the game, where it felt like the design of the game was for voice actor. Like it felt like they built this in a way that they expected voice actors to be there, where the text slows down and someone's clearly narrating
Yeah.
and nothing's happening. So like modern Pokemon, I'm like, I can't say anymore what their problem is, but they need to like put in that extra effort to add that final polish. And I feel like we can get there. But I'm a big fan of the older Pokemon games, like Gen 2 is definitely one of my favorites. I am a huge fan of Red and Blue specifically from Gen 1. I love Yellow. I love Yellow, but I feel like Red and Blue is massively underrated just because they're the first games. I feel like the design is really good for those games. Like I really enjoy I played them recently and I was like, I still had a really fun time. It was hard for me to put this game down. Um, and then Gen 5 is probably my next like Gen 5 restored the series for me. I got bored in Gen 4. It was fine. Platinum was, Platinum made it better, but after Gen 4 when Gen 5 was announced, I was just like I don't know if I'm going to get this Pokemon game and I didn't get it till like a year and a half later. And then I was like, "Whoa, okay, I'm glad I didn't miss this because this is actually really freaking good and it feels like a new fresh adventure." It kind of revitalized it for me. So, yeah, all of that to say, I'm I'm big on Pokemon, and I've been playing it with my girls lately, which that makes a massive difference. Like introducing my 5-year-old to Pokemon, it doesn't matter how bad the game is, in my opinion. Like I introduced her to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and when those came out, I was like, oh, like you guys could have done so much more. But then playing it with my 5-year-old, I'm like, this is great. I'm having a great time. We're catching things together and we're, I don't know. I was able to like see it in a different light. So yeah, anyway, it's hard for me to long-term dislike Pokemon, but what they've been doing recently, I'd like to see them step it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a very similar boat as you. I will always be loyal to Pokemon because like it was my first like JRPG. It was my first like RPG. It's like my first like real game that I
Yep.
remember in a real way.
Yep.
Um, for sure. Um, and I do think that you should revisit Scarlet and Violet with the Switch 2 update because I waited when I heard that it
Before
would.
or after Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
Oh, after Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Come on now. There's no other game you should be playing. Like unless you have never played. Well, I mean, Trails. You should. That's something I'll tell you should prioritize. But I know that you're waiting for the remake of Second Chapter. Um, but yeah. Anyway, it's really really great. Like because I didn't experience any of the bad stuff on Switch. I'm like, this is probably my favorite like Pokemon game since
Oh,
Gen
so you
5.
just got it on the Switch too?
Yeah, I never played the Switch version.
Okay.
He is free of the weight that is remembering
Yeah,
what version
yeah,
Ryan played.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, because the thing was, like,
yeah.
when Arceus came out, I felt a little burned on Arceus in the condition that it came out in.
Yeah.
And then when I
Mm,
heard that it happened again for Gen 9
And worse.
and worse, I
yeah,
was like,
it was worse.
nope,
Yeah.
I'll wait. I'll wait until they patch this. Assuming at the time, I was like, they don't even need to patch this because people are gonna buy this trash anyway. But then they did, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna play this now because I've been wanting to play it, and I had a blast the entire way through. Like, obviously,
Okay.
there's certain things I didn't like, but like I don't like the gym challenges versus just
Giving a
battling
battle.
people.
Yeah.
But I had a blast with that game. But yeah, you know, when it comes to the remakes of it all, like I I am since the day I first played it, I have been a Gen 2 guy. Like Gen 2 is the GOAT. You could never convince me
Oh man.
otherwise. Um, and Crystal is my favorite Pokemon game. It's also my second favorite game of all time to this day. And I don't think, and I think that even though I do think that we talked about this literally last week, I think that Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver is the best remake ever made. I don't think anything else has surpassed it. Um, I do prefer to play Crystal just because I love the Game Boy Color aesthetic, like the color choices, like how there's
Yep,
this
I
kind
got
of
mine
like,
right there. Yep. I just
yep,
played it recently, so yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned that because I really love Heart Gold Soul Silver, but I got the mod retro chromatic a couple years ago because I missed the analog pocket. So
mm,
I picked that one up and I put Crystal in there, and it was like, oh, it was just such a magical experience. And
dude,
then
so good.
yeah, and then I got this was actually pretty fun. So I don't know if you guys have seen these, but the
Oh
epilogue
yeah,
that
I have
can
one of those.
play, so it can play your Game Boy Color games on your computer. And it also has built-in. There's basically a built-in Game Shark. Um, and I'm not like a big, put cheats in games fan. I never was as a kid. But when you've played a Pokemon game like 50,000 times, like I found out that I could throw like shiny codes in there and all of these other things. And I was like, okay, let's do this. So my entire team in Crystal is shiny, which was super. Like, I was just like, this is so like, I have a shiny Feraligatr and a shiny Typhlosion and like all these because I also have gold and silver. So I traded myself in, all of the starters because of course I did. Um, and that was just like a blast, like being able to like do some of that stuff on the computer and then put it back in the Game Boy and play it. Oh man, there's something so special about that, so I hear you.
Yeah, so like that is, yeah, just Heart Gold Soul Silver, what a time to be alive. Like y'all were out of high school, but I was in high school when that game came out. And when I tell
Yeah, I
you
was
that
in college.
never in my life, never in my life, outside of Pokemon Go, because it was Pokemon, it was on your phone, right? Never in my life have I seen so many people like visually having out their DSs in a group setting,
Right.
um playing the same game. I've never seen it before.
Yep.
Um and I've not since. And like just seeing people walk around school and you see them with their Pokewalkers, whether it's like on their bag or on their like their thingy, their collar or their jeans, like just not everyone, but like so many people had it in a way that I just like it was what a magical time to be alive. And it just like really like even back then, like, I was always just a hardcore like Gen 2 truther, and this just like validated me in such a way that I've never gotten over. I'm just like, yeah, we didn't do this for Fire Red Leaf Green. I didn't see everyone with their Game Boy Advances walking around school, but with Gen 2, it's different.
Yep.
Um and yeah, I just absolutely loved that game and that time, just like when gaming used to be different, y'all. Um and I love Gen 3, and this is like probably one of me and Kevin's most like opposite opinions when it comes to things, but I thought Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby were like really bad remakes. I
Oh
get
dear.
Oh, I loved those remakes.
I think you're
I
I now
fine,
listen.
TM.
oh
I
okay.
Yeah.
I think Heart Gold and Soul. I agree with you. Of the Pokemon remakes, like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, like it's not even a question. Like that is the best one. But Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I really appreciated. Like I liked the original Gen 3. I really liked Emerald. Um, but it wasn't one I found myself going to very often. And then when they came out with those, like all of the additions they made, like the aesthetic and the UI, I actually really liked because they kept some of the like pixel art elements. And then like some of the post game stuff where you're like flying around and getting the legendaries and stuff like that. I was like, what are we doing here? Like, what is this? So I don't know. For me, like that really, I guess, reminded me or made me realize how much I did love Gen 3. So I still hold Heart Gold and Soul Silver at the top, but I actually really like those remakes. Like I'm glad that they did those.
So there are certain things that you do in the game that I think are really cool. Like I love the Delta episode. Like that whole segment
Yep.
of the game is
Yep.
Yeah,
great.
making a bit more of a
I
grand introduction for Deoxys and everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I do like the like flying on the legendaries to find other flying to find the legendaries. That stuff was cool. I just didn't like the transition of Hoenn from 2D to 3D. It just didn't
Mm,
work for me.
mm,
It just didn't like a lot of the towns just didn't look right for me. It was like those kind of aspects that
sure.
I thought because they introduced a lot of neat ideas in 3 where you have like the tall grass and then like there's like that town with like they're all canopies, right? All the homes are canopies and like all
Hmm.
those things like just didn't really transition well for me. Diving underwater was like it was cool, but like there's just something about all of the things that you could do in the Hoenn games, particularly in a 2D space, that I thought was like really cool. And like we still haven't ever like seen again, like in that kind of perspective. Um, that yeah, just in the 3D space, it didn't really work for me. Like honestly, like retroactively, like over time, I've just been more and more like not a fan of the 3DS 3D era of Pokemon. At first, I thought it was going to be really cool because I immediately made it made me think immediately of the GameCube 3D games, right? Like it made me think
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like Coliseum and Gale of
Coliseum. Yeah.
Darkness.
yeah,
But like when X and Y came out, that just like wasn't the reality, right? And that's why I'm actually um a relative fan of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl because like as a remake doesn't really do a whole lot in the way that it did with Heart Gold Soul Silver and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. No, right? It didn't really add a whole like any like
nothing
significant
really. Yeah,
content. It was a very bare bones remake in that sense, but I did like the direction of like, oh, we're gonna make this kind of like chibi-esque, but like a more Pokemon used to be experience, and I really enjoyed that. Like that's like was like this is Pokemon to me.
yeah,
Um, and but I do also recognize that when it came to like the treatment that they gave the Gen 2 and 3 remakes, um, they didn't really do that with Heart Gold, not Heart Gold,
Brilliant Diamond Shining
Brilliant
Pearl.
Diamond
Brilliant
Shining
Diamond, Shining
Pearl.
Pearl. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
also argue that they didn't really do a whole lot with that with Fire Red Leaf Green. But I just think that Fire Red Leaf Green was just a tighter game and experience
Yeah.
than Diamond and Pearl. Because when I played the Diamond and Pearl the first time, it didn't really do much of anything for me. But then people said like, oh, Platinum is like made fourth gen like everything that it is, and I never played it, so like, but I don't know, like when I replayed the remake, I'm like, oh, this was nice, like I enjoyed this. I wasn't blown away or anything like that, but I was like, I had fun. But I think the biggest criticism is that they didn't do like a remake of Platinum, which is
Yeah,
like, or at least do a similar
Yeah.
experience like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where you implement the
yes,
Emerald content into this remake in a different way.
yeah. No, and that was
Yeah.
even what like Heart Gold Soul Silver did, right? Like those pull a lot of elements from Crystal, like all Suicune stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like again, especially for Gen 4 folks, like I think even people who consider themselves like fans of Gen 4, it's like it's not because of Diamond and Pearl. It's because of Platinum and then the Gen 2 remakes. And so to just be like, hey, we're remaking this, and unlike all the other remakes we've done so far, we will not be including any of the updates or changes that were brought by version 3. And it's like that's what made those games good. Like,
Yeah.
why are you ignoring
Yeah.
like the best version of this when make like what is happening here? Because I agree with you on the visual standpoint. I actually really the chibi. Some people got angry about that. Not me. I was like, oh, like I'm down. Like I like this idea of like we're doing a more 3D style, but keeping the old school aesthetic, top down, whatever. Like I ate that up. But the fact that it was content and balance wise, like a 1-to-1 with Diamond and Pearl and not Platinum was so frustrating.
Yeah, I've come around. I've come around on the Gen 4 remakes again because like playing with my daughter, I got to experience it a little bit differently, and I was like, you know what, like there's still a lot to be said about these games, especially if you have kids. I think the thing for me actually was it was all of what you described, but the visuals were off-putting when they released. And the reason for that for me is like say what you will about the Let's Go games, they looked really freaking good.
I love
Like
Mhm.
the Let's Go games.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
love
I
them.
I I personally really like them. I know the catching mechanics aren't for everybody, but I was like, dang, like if we're coming into the Switch era with a remake looking like this gets me very excited
Oh, I
for remaking the other games. And then when we got to the Gen 4 remakes, it was like, wait, what? Like what are we going backwards here? Like this now goes from what we got in Let's Go to almost looking like I don't know, like a mobile developer. Oh, hey, thumbs up for you guys. Like a mobile developer getting their hands on Gen 4 and being like, we'll make this moderately better. Um, and so that for me was a little bit off-putting, and I still got him. I mean, it's Pokemon. I'm still like, all right, I'm gonna get my Pokemon fix here. But then when I was playing it, all of the lack of additions really stood out to me too because I was like Gen 4 again, I told you my story like Gen 4 kind of put me off of Pokemon for a while. So much so that I didn't jump into Gen 5 right away, which was the first time in my life I wasn't like super excited about a Pokemon game. Um and it kind of when I played it through the first time without my kids, it kind of felt like that again where I was just like some of the pacing in Gen 4 is not great, and I'm just finding myself kind of bored in a way that I'm not when I play other Pokemon games. Um, so yeah, so I think it was a mix of all of those things. But again, at this point, like, you know, my mom was like, hey, I want to play a Pokemon game. And I was like, okay, start with Gen 4, right? Like start with these remakes because you've been watching Laura do it and you could totally pull this off. And because of those kinds of elements, I'm like, all right, I think they're fine. Like I think they're fine to recommend. But certainly when it first came out, I was like, okay, you know what, Pokemon Company? Don't touch Gen 5. If this is what you're going to do, don't touch it. I don't want you to do anything with it. Like, learn your lessons, and then let's come back to that conversation, right?
yeah.
I don't think even in general, even though I do think I like it more than most, like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, like those are solid games. Like anyone who says that those are bad games, they're just lying. Like I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
they're perfectly well made. Like you know, are they for a remake? Like for those that grew up with like or played platinum, like sure you're gonna be disappointed, absolutely. But like they're good games. Like they're definitely something that like
It's still
you're
Pokemon. You're still going to have fun. Yeah, yeah,
yeah
yeah.
you can have a
Yeah.
child play or you can have anyone play and be like that was solid. Like yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was curious as to like where you were with Pokemon because I wanted to talk about the Pokemon remakes because I think that they are like varying degrees of quality. So um
Yeah, and Pokemon's been kind of all over the place too. So it's hard to like get a feel
especially
for
recently for sure.
where we're actually going. I mean, now there's been leaks, but for a while, right? It was like, okay, where are we going from here? Like we did Let's Go, we did Legends. Legends ZA is not quite the same thing as Arceus. It's kind of like a sequel to Gen 5, which is cool, but uh, you know, like I don't know, what about Gen 2? What are you guys going to do with Gen 2, am I right?
Dude, what are you gonna do? Like
Let's go Pichu and
that's
Togepi when.
I
that's
honestly, when
yes.
Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee came out, I was like, if you guys do a Let's Go Johto series, like I will lose my freaking mind. Like I would be so excited about that. And now it
Yeah.
seems like they've completely dropped the concept. So it's like, okay, well, there
Yep.
goes
Yeah, no,
that, I guess.
when they said that they weren't gonna make another Let's Go game, I was coping so bad. I was like, they're lying to us. They just don't want to. They just don't want to announce it. They just don't want to confirm it. They'll announce it when they're ready. Yeah, it sucks. I both in and out of this podcast, I am very much in the mindset that for some reason the Pokemon Company hates Johto because they continuously like just ignore Johto. Like us like I should not have gotten the level of excitement I did when they announced that Totodile and Chikorita were starters. I shouldn't have. Because it should be a norm like there should be a level of normalcy for all the generations, right? But no, it's like with Johto, it's like this is like literal scraps that you're giving me. like this is like you owed me money and you're finally paying me back, like type deal. Like because they just don't talk about Johto. They don't give Johto the love that they do that I see them give like other generations. I just don't. Like,
Yeah.
obviously like I understand the concept of just regurgitating like Gen 1 stuff, but like come on, man. At some point you got to give love to like some to others at the table, you know what I mean? Cuz even with uh ZA, right? In ZA, don't you get to choose one of the Gen 1 starters again?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
actually very funny because I think it was Wesley LeBlanc who wrote an article for Game Informer that was like angry at that. Not because they gave you the ability to pick up one of the first starters, but because it was so kind of like unceremonious. Like you just get a call from the professor who's like, "Hey, can you come by here real quick?" And you go there, and they're just hanging out in the office. She's like, "Hey, take one of these
Pick
three."
one.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
take one. Like there's like no, it's just kind of like a random side quest with no like narrative reason or anything. It's just like, hey, these three are here. Can you just like take one away? Just like take, yeah,
Go.
please.
And you can get their Megastones like right away too.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
in ZA, like getting a Megastone for a Pokemon will basically make it usable. Like there's some Pokemon that are just straight up not useful at the end of that game because you don't have a Megastone for them.
right.
So the fact that they're just like, yeah, here you go, Gen 1. Oh, and you can get the Megastones right away. They're a little expensive, but you can figure it out.
Yeah,
Just
It
like,
also
all right.
it also kind of irks me that now when it comes to the Johto starters, two of them can Mega Evolve, but one of them can't. But then they
My
also have
boy.
like a different form.
we're just ignoring.
Yeah.
We're just ignoring the nightmare.
Typhlosion's like my favorite too. For Alligator, I love, but I also really hate that Mega design. Like,
So
I
I hate Mega Evolutions, like in general. I just don't like the
okay.
concept of Mega Evolutions. I kind of like I hate that like it's up all the time. You know what I mean? But like when it's
I just
down,
thought it was
it's kind of
so
cool.
but it was so like this has become a Pokemon podcast. It's
It's been a
become
lot of
like to
things this
me
episode.
I know it felt so lazy to me because I'm like, look, like you have Charizard that has two really freaking cool looking megas. You can either be a ghost Charizard or you could be like the giant edgy Charizard that you dreamed of when you were a kid, right? And then you get Feraligatr and you're like, this is Feraligatr. Like Feraligatr is one of the coolest starter designs ever to grace the Pokemon franchise. And they're like, hey, let's plop a Totodile head on him again, right?
Yeah,
Let's make him look like Totodile. And it's like you could have made him this like ferocious, crazy looking crocodile, and instead you give him a Totodile hood that's pink. And I'm just like, why?
magenta-ish.
Because now that you've sure, but like now that you've done this, you're not going to go back. This
Yeah.
will now always be his mega form.
Yep.
And I'm like, that sucks because no other Pokemon has gotten like a second mega form yet. So now we're stuck with this. Like, what did you do to Feraligatr? What is
Yeah,
wrong with you?
it is specifically a Charizard and now Raichu thing. And like the thing
Yeah.
is too, those were introduced
Yeah.
immediately side by side, right? It's not like they gave someone a Mega and then another Mega later. Like
Right.
that's
Right.
that's what the
It's
gap
the
is
X and
right
Y
now.
thing. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, it's fine. Like it's not the most offensive thing. It's just the what could have been with
Sure.
such a cool starter like Feraligatr. I was just like, boo.
I I
Uh,
mean, I'm not mad about that. Even though I'm again, I feel two different ways about it. I just don't really care for Mega Evolutions in general. I think like again, I remember looking at all the Mega Evolutions like maybe I'm being over dramatic about it. And like there's maybe a handful that I thought were actually cool designs and I was
Yeah.
like,
No, I
you
do
know,
think the designs this time around are kind of weak. There are a couple specific ones I really like. Like I think Frostlass's is like top tier. Like I really like that
Frostlass
design.
is pretty sick.
Yeah, but there are a lot of them where it's just sort of like, all right, it's yeah, I see what you did. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And then some that are
They're
almost
like,
there
hey,
for the joke.
Starmie, let's just make it a little bit taller and so it can walk. And it's like, that's what you came up with for Starmie?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Starmie's also
and
like
it's
a
so
weird.
funny.
It's like a weird cultural in joke that doesn't really translate if you're not like in Japan at the right age, because it's supposed to be a joke on like monster style like dudes in a
Yeah,
suit, 'cause that's why it has like the knees and everything. And it's like it's kind of funny, but yeah, without that context, it's very easily lost on anyone else. Or you might
yeah.
just not like that it's
I
a
mean,
joke.
look, I got my Tyranitar, and by the end of the game, he was like level 90 plus, and that was my mega, and I loved smashing everything. It was wonderful. I got an alpha too, so he was massive, and it was the coolest thing.
Nice.
So I was pretty happy with that. Yeah,
Yeah, I need to get back to ZA. I just only have so much time, and there's too many games, and
I
so
know, right?
That time of year.
yeah.
It's that time of year.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was a very probably the most tangents we've ever went on in a single episode.
And a very
This is
long
what
ones
happens
that
when you
happened,
invite
yeah.
Retro Brandon to the podcast.
No, it's been great. It was a great conversation, and we're all good here. Kevin. Well, no, Brandon. Did you have anything for us before we dip out? Where can people find you?
You can find me at Retro Brandon on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter, but over there it's at Nova Brand because I still haven't figured out how to get Retro Brandon. So check that out if you want to follow along. I'll post things like pictures of my collection or complaints about key cards that set off the internet, apparently. And on my channel, I obviously do RPG content. Got some new content coming in the works as we speak, so excited to get that out there. And then you can also find me at the Level Up Legacy podcast with Slam Zany and Avenger Mags. That's awesome, so check us out over there as well.
Sweet. Kevin, do you have anything for the people before we dip out?
Not today.
All right, everybody. You can find me on socials at CamFinalMix, and you can find Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the podcast. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.
See ya.